Hello again, friends. I'll roll back over here, and you are our friends, and welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru, the home of Jim Cornette, and of course, everyone's favorite jingle.
I live here now?
Everyone's favorite jingle, the theme to The Great Brian Last. I'm The Great Brian Last. I have your questions. I have the pressure of making Jim review Raw. There's so many things we have with this man, the leader of the cult of Cornette. We're having fun today, folks. Mr. Jim Cornette.
You have just a variety of ways to fuck that entrance up, or intro up is what you started in a moderate tempo fashion where you were actually, it sounded like you were trying to do the best you could to hit the proper notes. And then as soon as you hit the sour one, it was all over the page. It was like a souped up Inagata DeVito mess.
I don't think so. I think that's the usual, and that's the original fast-paced theme. And then we later decided to introduce some of the parts for the extended version. And that's what and there were no sour notes. There were no sour notes.
Single. That was the disco single extended version.
Your singing's like the sour belches.
Oh, come on now. Everybody knows what I can do with a tune.
I make people happy all over the world with this music.
Yeah, when it stops. Everybody, I bring joy with my mellifluous tones, with the way that I can bend a note to suit my will. But yet you're just
bend it over, all right? You bend over that note and fucking give it to
I
it.
bend that note over and I give it what for, I'll tell you that. Well, what are we here for? This is your show today, the Drive Thru.
That's right.
Where you get to...
Should I talk, or we just want to drum? We could do it together at the same time.
You see, I'm trying to be a lively radio program host here, and I've got my notes, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm emphasizing things, and you're worried about your dadgum audio. Did the greats of radio, did Wolfman Jack worry about his audio, or did he just go out there and howl, baby? See, that's where you got to think about the content, not the daggum box it's wrapped up in. That's why I'm here. I have, as a matter of fact, a communication to both of us from a member of the cult of Cornette. It's just come across my desk here at the Castle Cornette Command Center. And we have a nomination, Brian, for the worst person in the world. I cannot believe what I've heard from Penny over in West London, UK. I guess there would be a North and a South and an East London then, right? How big is London? They got to just parcel it out with directions like that. Anyway, do you want to know who the worst person in the world is, Brian?
Coming from Penny? I have no idea, no.
Her hubby, Paulie, and her last name is not Heyman. This is Pauly. Her hubby, Paulie, she describes him as a gorgeous hubby, but listen to this. April 6th is my birthday. And last year for my 50th birthday, my gorgeous hubby asked me what I'd like for my present, and the answer was simple. A very happy birthday message from Jim and Brian. That's what I'd like. And he said, okay. And it was never mentioned again. And for the next 3 to 4 weeks, every drive-through, every experience, I anxiously awaited and prayed for my message. But after a month with nothing, I was in the shower listening to a show when said hubby came in. Now I think I know why he's upset, because she listens to us in the shower. That would engender some feelings of jealousy, don't you think?
Yeah, it depends how she uses the loofah. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I think there's a fair amount of loofahing going on when we're talking.
A lot of soap.
But he's a lot of... I asked him, when did you message Jim or Brian about my birthday request? He just looked at me and said, Jim doesn't do requests. And I asked, did you even try? And he said, no. I was heartbroken. I never asked for anything. And the one thing I did ask for, he didn't even try. So as the saying goes, if you want something done properly, do it yourself, like I've been doing in the shower. No, she didn't say that. So for this year, I don't mind how late. What? Can you please wish me a happy birthday and also rip my fucking dopey, gorgeous dipshit of a hubby a new one? The more swear words, the better. Well, listen here, Mr. Fuckity McFuckfuck, fuckface.
Yo, Paulie.
Yo, Paulie. Yo, fuckface. Come over here. What are you doing? You knucklehead. She's in the shower listening to us for a reason. She's saying you're gorgeous, but maybe
so obviously she's blind.
Well, I'm thinking he's all show and no go.
Oh.
See, he's one of these pretty boys on the billboard rather than taking care of her showering needs.
You should leave him.
Well, yes, she should, but she should move to East London. The guys over there know what the fuck's going on.
Jim doesn't take requests. Unlike Wolfman Jack, Jim doesn't take requests.
Well, this is half the show that we've been doing here for 10 years now, is just calling out to various members of the cult and wishing them either good or ill, depending on the situation.
Can you imagine how she feels? She's waiting to listen to hear us mention her. All she hears is us talking about dogs and cats and all sorts of other things.
Well, at least she didn't die, because imagine if she had died and was sitting there waiting to listen for us to talk about her. That would be when we were only talking about dogs and cats and things. It'd be terrible. How long do you think an average person after they die should wait for their favorite podcast to talk about them?
I don't know how to answer this. I don't know. But I think Paulie should be a little more respectful, considering it's not easy to find a girl who wants to listen to this podcast with you. So come on.
Well, no, she didn't say she's doing it with him. She's doing it in the shower, probably to get away from him, because he's an asshole and won't even send an email to somebody to, hey, will you wish my wife a happy birthday? He didn't even make the barest of effort, the most just slightest of movement and energy expense.
Well, what did she say? I asked him to do it, and that was the last I heard of it. It sure was.
It was never mentioned. Well, yeah, exactly. Until now. Now he's never going to hear the end of it. But that's the thing, is you wouldn't keep reminding someone of something that they want for their birthday. If you're going to get them for it, get them. You know what I'm saying? Get them that thing there. So you wouldn't bring it up. So one would think that if one was the birthday recipient that, oh, he hadn't said anything, I bet he's going to surprise me. And surprise. So there you go. Penny.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And you're worth much more than a penny. All right. Speaking of things that are worth more than a penny, Brian, and I'll turn your show over to you so we can begin. But on the last episode we did of The Experience, I said we were doing it right before the ring-worn and ring-used gear sale that I had going on at JimCornette.com, so I couldn't give an update. I can now give an update. Thank you, everybody, for participating. If you didn't get anything by now, well, thank everybody that participated. I think I got a couple pairs of pants left, but it happened quite quickly. So if you did order something, we are going to convene. This is 2 days after the sale or whatever. Hotchkiss and I are convening over the weekend to start this process, because there's a lot of handwritten letters to write and various things to do to make sure we pack all this stuff up good, because it was high dollar merchandise, so we're not just going to send it out in a fucking bubble mailer or whatever. But anyway, you will be getting notified via email very soon when your orders are starting to go out. But there's all kinds of stuff left on sale. especially if you want to get into my pants, but books and shirts and DVDs and pictures and all that variety of things. JimCornette.com.
That's right, JimCornette.com.
Do you sell any of your clothing at BrianLast.com?
I have not had any requests, and I don't know if I would honor them because I like to hold on to things for the Brian Last Museum that hopefully one day will open up as part of the Last Family Library.
I forgot about that. I remember you saving these important things for historical purposes.
Jim, I want to make a mention real quick of a new book that has come out from Crowbar Press, our friend Scott Teal. We talk a lot about his books, a lot about wrestling history. This one goes as far back as you can. For those who really love learning about wrestling history, The Great Pro Wrestling Venues, Volume 7, St. Louis, 1873 to 1927. Jim, I have a copy in my hand. I presume you may have received one as well, but want to make a mention here because if there is a podcast anywhere with an audience that cares about wrestling from the turn of the century, last century.
The last one, yeah.
The last one. It's certainly the audience of the Jim Cornette Drive Thru.
Well, and in all honesty, it's fascinating because this may help to explain. Of course, Scott did a set of books on reprints of St. Louis programs from the World War II years, a few years ago, and those are available at crowbarpress.com. But it kind of helps make sense of how that St. Louis was an early and consistent wrestling town for all those years because there was some form of wrestling going on a regular basis at like, you know, different theaters and vaudeville shows and etc. in a variety of venues in and around the St. Louis area going back that far. And there were actually, you know, major events taking place at the turn of the century. And then there was a lull period, which partially may have had to do with rigged pro wrestling matches. What was the term that nobody knew worked back then? So basically, hippodroming was one term for when they suspected that the wrestlers may have cooperated with each other in order to increase the gambling winnings and the odds and etc. And then it starts coming back in the Tom Pax days, the teens and 20s. It is fascinating to go back and take a look at what professional wrestling was, especially in a city like St. Louis, where it would be built to be, you know, one of the capitals of wrestling in not only the country, but the world.
Again, the brand new book, The Great Pro Wrestling Venues, Volume 7, St. Louis, 1873 to 1927. Available at crowbarpress.com. Let them know where you heard about it. Jim, before we get going with WWE Raw, and it was a newsworthy episode this week.
Oh, boy.
We received word this past week of the passing of Flying Fred Curry at the age of 82 years old. Jim, want to get your thoughts on Flying Fred Curry?
Actually, I got to finally meet him after all of my years in the business. I think the first time that I met him was like 10 years ago at one of Bobby Fulton's shows up in Ohio. And at the time that I started watching wrestling, I've mentioned, you know, Bruiser's TV was on in Indianapolis. If I turned the antenna right, I could get that. And we had the Tennessee Territory shows here. But when I'd go to Aunt Lola's, I got to see the Sheik's TV. And Flying Fred Curry, that was early 70s. That was pretty much the late 60s, early 70s was the period of time he was the biggest, or his biggest period of time in the business, where he was the dazzling baby face, the young, fiery, you know, good guy for big time wrestling in the Sheik's promotion. And of course, he was the son of Bull Curry, who had been a major name in the business since the 30s and still was. They had father-son tag team matches because Bull was goddamn ageless. But by then, most of the time for the Sheik, Bull Curry was the gimmick babyface, the crazy kick-ass babyface that would fight the Sheik or whatever. And as a team with his son, that got Fred started. And then he was used very well all over the Midwest, and he did international tours. So he was one of the prototypes of the young high flyer, even though his flying was like he'd uncork drop kicks, boom, 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 just over and over again. But it wasn't like he was doing dives off the top to the floor. Nobody did. But for the head scissors and all that type of thing, but really nice guy. And again, geez, his career was probably over in the early 80s, I guess, pretty much on a full-time basis. And so a lot of people haven't seen him because he's another one of the guys that was right before the home video era.
He had a run in the Northeast at the beginning of the 70s and then another one at the end of the 70s. So people in the New York area before the national expansion knew who he was. It's always interesting to me when someone second generation gets into the business and their father isn't just a wrestler, but is quite a notable wrestler with a distinct look.
Yeah.
Tons of magazine coverage. And he went the other way. I mean, it would have been very easy for him to like grow his eyebrows out and, act like a maniac. He went the other way. I mean, he kind of wanted to do the wrestling part, not just the wild brawl part.
Well, the thing is, to be honest, he was more suited to that because he was more of an athletic, fiery kind of young guy. Whereas Bull, who knows? Methuselah may have seen Bull Curry when he was a rookie. He had been a boxer. He'd been a policeman in Hartford, Connecticut. He was always in good shape, but he didn't look like the guy that was going to be doing drop kicks and flying head scissors even when he was young. And then as he, as Bull established that look and the gimmick and just the name, you couldn't get away from it. There was no reason for him to change it. But Fred, if he'd have done the same thing as Bull, he didn't look like that. And it wouldn't have worked. And I think he knew that. But at the same time, since Bull Curry could still be somewhat of a babyface, even just being Bull Curry in Detroit at the time, is a perfect place for Fred to break in as a babyface.
Well, again, passing at the age of 82, flying Fred Curry, we send our sympathies to his friends and family and fans. I know he has a son that also wrestled, making him a third generation in the Curry
That's
family.
right. His son was on that show of Bobby Fulton's that I was talking about. And he had some pretty good eyebrows on him, too. It runs in the family.
Well, I guess so.
Look at Bull Curry in like 1950 looked like a Brillo pad.
Well, again, flying Fred Curry, known for relatively normal eyebrows. But Jim, a lot of people's eyebrows were raised this past week on WWE Monday Night Raw, specifically the opening segment, but there was a lot of notable things to talk about here on this episode. But let's talk about WWE Raw.
Well, they were in Houston, and I don't know, Houston, do we have a problem? I don't know. I mean, there was they had some problems on this show, but there's also, again, some things that lit up the various interwebs with especially with the guy who started the program, our friend CM Punk. As I said, they were in Houston, Texas, 11,769 people. And they show the guys walking in, and then there's Punk walking in, and the announcer saying he'll be here later on, and he just walks right through Gorilla and comes straight out. And the people, he gets the fucking pop, right? That's a surprise. And he sits cross-legged in the ring, and they chant CM Punk, and they chant OTC. And he's reminiscent of the pipe bomb where he sat cross-legged on the stage. But then he'd get up and move around. And I kind of normally I hate it when people just wander around while they're talking, but this kind of worked because he looked like he was just venting at people. But he started out mentioning everything that would have made Vince McMahon's head explode, right? Houston is a pro wrestling town. It's Paul Bosch territory. And Paul Bosch's name got a pop.
Wasn't that nice? Wasn't it in 2026? I was looking for that when he said the name, and he got the pop. It was good to see.
Well, I think there have been so many local TV specials and retrospectives that I think the general population, if they're at a wrestling show, they're familiar. Now, I don't know about the average 16-year-old at the mall, but I think for this crowd, it was more than a lot of old-time promoters would have got in different places. Anyway, what would the old-timers do? What would Harley Race do? Harley would take Vince down in the bathroom. No. He cut to promo on Roman not being there. Sure, he could use his cousins and show up, but I show up cousinless and do it myself. And I mean, he just had line after line. Being hated by losers is the price that I pay for not being one of them. And Roman can't show up. I showed up and I'm an old man. I'm old, but I'm not weak. And he cuts a promo on why he hates Roman. He's plastic and he's fake and my tools are self-made. Yours are store-bought and plastic, and TKO sent your beltless ass to Jimmy Fallon because you're safe and boring and manufactured, and they never know what I'll say or what I'll do. And, hey, you show up late, you leave early. At least The Rock is or was a Hollywood star.
That guy,
your bloated cousin. That guy. He called him your bloated cousin. He said, my bloated cousin isn't on the board of directors. My father didn't give me a favor job because I sucked at football. And you're nothing but a buck-toothed Nepo baby that ate dog food for a weird old man. And they popped on that. That weird old man had treated me like a dog and expected me to smile, but I had FU money and I took my dignity and left. And he got him chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. And he's like, I can stand on the bridge and blow it up, but bitch, I know how to swim. Which, when you think about it, actually the explosion probably would kill him before he hit the water, wouldn't it?
Unless he had some sort of propulsion pack that would shoot him into the air moments before the explosion so that all he has to do is prepare for landing.
Or possibly some type of Iron Man-like bomb-proof armor apparatus.
Now you're being silly.
Oh, well, yours was entirely reasonable.
Perfectly reasonable. Think about it.
All right. Anyway, then, now he's wandering all around the ring, or all out on the floor. And he had Pat McAfee, you buggy whip arm, no brain hillbilly.
Well, did you hear what he didn't call him Pat McAfee? Everyone was messaging us about this. Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee. I didn't even catch that. I swear to God, I didn't. Is McAfee one of them?
I don't know. But a lot of listeners sent that over, so a lot of people seem to think that's what he said.
Pat, maybe we're being treated to something we haven't known about Pat. Well, he wrote a check that his narrow ass can't cash. So he told McAfee to call up that agent that shoehorned you into this show and tell him to lower the ticket prices.
The greatest babyface line ever.
I know that people cheered and popped, and I want all the families to come and watch me stand on Roman Reigns' throne. They're like, yeah, lower the prices. I'm CM Punk and I approve this message. He blistered everybody and got it done under 15 minutes. But again, he didn't say, I would have believed that he would have said, fuck, and take his company and shove it up your ass, anything. But he didn't say lower the ticket prices unless they told him he could. But still, it's brilliant. Because that's been the big topic of conversation. If they're wanting to, see, I can tell now that Nick Khan and who knows Ari Emanuel and whoever other bigwigs are that have been around the business for a little while, but haven't actually been in the business till they started this whole fiasco a couple years ago. They want to take advantage of what people are saying on the internet. And they want to like shoot and all these things they've heard about. If you get somebody can talk like Punk, you can pull it off. I'm not convinced Pat McAfee is going to be able. He's, as you said the other day, very energetic and high energy and rah-rah on commentary, but I don't think some of these other people that they're wanting to do these shoot things with can carry off shoots. Do you?
No, because Punk knows how to blur it. You don't know where the truth ends and you don't know where the work begins. You know, there have to be elements of what he's saying that are true. You just don't know where the line is. And at one point, he threw a great little curve in there. It seemed like to me it would have been directed at, hypothetically, the people in Gorilla or in the back, where don't ask for a pipe bomb if you're not prepared for what will happen.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, something along those lines where it's like, okay.
Don't ask me for a pipe bomb if you don't want the fucking...
Because if you made a list of things you would think TKO don't want brought up, The Rock not being a movie superstar is one. Him being bloated is just a minor thing, but him not being a movie star is a big deal. He said that. Vince McMahon, who again, he's been brought up now on multiple shows. Last week it was bizarrely, and I saw something where Lance Storm, who I'll agree with on this, called them out for this. It was kind of disgusting to present Vince in positive terms like that.
Yeah, it's like you haven't achieved the high level of your father type of comment was,
Punk called him a weird old man.
That works.
And he brought up every single deficiency there could ever be in Roman Reigns. He's never there. If he's supposed to be in Hollywood doing stuff, how come we never see the projects and how come everyone else's projects are always coming out? It's like PowerTown. Roman Reigns is like, he's like the PowerTown of wrestling stars. No, but he brought up everything. I mean, it was, I think, the best promo Punk has done at a minimum since he returned. And not even returned to WWE, since he returned to wrestling. I may have enjoyed it more than the original pipe bomb. But I could see why that would still be the one a lot of people look to. But I thought this was phenomenal. And it went on a while, and it kind of had to, because otherwise he's gone. I mean, that was it for him on this show, and obviously Roman Reigns isn't there.
But it didn't seem like it, because it was under 15 minutes and it flew.
It could have gone 30 minutes, and I would have loved it. But once he said, call your agent, who's Ari Emanuel, the guy who runs the entire company. Call your agent and ask him to lower the ticket prices. If you notice the fans behind him, they didn't go, yeah! They started clapping like, all right. There it is. Like, they got it. And that's one of the greatest babyface things ever. And it's also a major sign that TKO recognized they got to lower ticket prices with the ticket sale issues at WrestleMania and whatever else, that they're letting this be brought up on TV. They're going to try to turn themselves babyface before other people could turn them heel.
My God, can you imagine if they had a stipulation added at WrestleMania that fucking if Punk wins, they have to lower the ticket prices for the rest of the summer or whatever the fuck? That would be goddamn, yeah.
That'd be the biggest thing ever. That would be amazing. And if he lost, it would be even more. It would be like when Lawler and Austin Idol, what was it? Lawler was going to refund everyone's money.
The money back guarantee. See, and that's what drew me that big house in Knoxville with me and Bob Armstrong, 3,000 people, because they said if he didn't put me in a hospital, that he would refund the money if everybody came to see the match. And Idol had said he would refund the money. Mine was a heel promising something, and they didn't want the money. But Idol was mine was the babyface promising something to do something to the heel, and they didn't really want the money back. But Idol's in Memphis against Lawler was the heel promising he'd give the money back if he didn't shave Lawler's head. And he ended up shaving Lawler's head, but the people thought they were going to get the money back because that had never happened before. So it's two different ways to go about it. But the point is that that's another goddamn great territory stipulation that was only used a couple of times, but it drew in each case, and you can't do it anymore because of pay-per-view and or them publicizing. If it's Madison Square Garden, it's a fucking $2 million gate. Nobody would believe it. But we had, and I think Randy Hales, who was booking at the time, did too, had him actually show the fucking cash and shit on TV. And everybody believed Bob anyway. But Idol had a suitcase with 25 grand or 30 grand or whatever the sellout would be at the Coliseum in those days. And they showed it, said, if I don't do this, you get your money back. So people are like, well, fuck.
He's certainly not going to shave Jerry Lawler's head. That cannot happen. And then when it happened, they start climbing the cage.
Yeah, because they didn't get their money back. And the way we did it, Bob said he even said the way I had him worded, he said, I will send Jim Cornette to the same hospital in the same ambulance that he sent me to back in May, right? When we started the deal. And that's what we did. He fucking gave me 2 pile drivers. I was already bleeding. He fucking laid me out in the middle of the ring. We called the ambulance. They taped me to the board. I've told the story before, but took me out. Nobody wanted their money back. That's what they wanted to say. They were cheering the whole fucking time, and they waited until the fucking ambulance pulled out before they left and then followed me to the hospital. But nobody was mad about not getting their money back because it was worth the $10 to see me crippled.
And that's why he wore a neck brace, folks. But a hell of a promo here. And again,
yes,
where it goes from here is going to be interesting. I guess there's one more Raw before Mania. You would think Roman would have to show up at least for that one. He's going to get his comeback promo. But we shall see. It's
where is that Raw? Where is Raw located next week?
I don't know. I will have to double check that.
Is that one where Brock is? Is Brock going to be there? They advertised a bunch of Raws for him, or are they in like Dubuque somewhere and nobody gives a shit?
When was the last time Brock wasn't there?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They advertised. Remember about 6 weeks ago, they advertised 6 dates for Brock, and I think all of them were for Raw.
Next week's Raw is in Sacramento, California.
I don't know. You think that's an A-town where Brock and Roman are going to show up, or will they slum it because it's the Raw before WrestleMania?
A lot of questions here. What did you think of the promo in terms of where you would rank it in terms of recent promos you've seen?
Oh, no, I loved it. It was great because the thing is, it flows from him. He didn't memorize that. I don't know if he memorized it or not, but you don't sense that he memorized this, that he's reciting it. It's not, to me, it's not acting either, because acting to me connotates that you're playing someone else, another role, another personality. Punk is incredible at being Punk and being real and sounding like that this shit's just rolling off top of his head. And it's biting and it's, witty and et cetera, but also it sells the goddamn issue. And like you said earlier, it blurs the lines where you have a hard time saying bullshit about anything he says because so much of it is shit that people actually, well, that ain't really bullshit. So, no, that's phenomenal. And that's what I'm saying. You can get away with doing a shoot kind of work shoot inside, outside, all around the house, whatever fuck kind of thing with a guy that can do that. But you can't just willy-nilly think we're going to bring everybody in on all this and let everybody do it because they're going to shit to bed at it because they ain't Punk or at that level. There's a few that can pull it off, but not a ton.
I have a couple more questions about all this, but before we go any further, I want to say that the idea of lowering ticket prices is such a great babyface move. Just like the idea of offering great meals for 50% off with free daily greens per box. That's what I was looking for. Jim, of course, as you can tell.
Just a box of greens.
I'm talking about our great friends at Factor.
Well, it is a babyface thing to give people food at half off, especially in these trying times that we're going through these days. So that I'll agree with you there. But also, folks, how much is your time worth? How much is your health worth? How much is shutting the kids up worth? Because whether Factor has meals built around your goals in life, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to eat better, whether it's to eat healthier quicker, or replace the time that you would spend cooking by having chef-crafted meals already prepared for you, or just shutting those little crumb-snatching rugrats up and, Mommy, Daddy, feed me, feed me. They eat every day, but yet they would turn around the next day, they want to eat again. Just stick some Factor in front of them, and they're going to love it, just like everybody loves it. If you're human, you're going to love it. Matter of fact, many of the family pets may love it. I understand cattle. Cattle love the every meal crafted with functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, healthy fats, and if you want to feed it to your cattle, corn and oats.
No, ladies and gentlemen, this is food to feed to you and other humans that are in the house.
Yes. Oh, well, now you can't have a cow in the house, Brian. What in the world are you talking about?
You just skipped right past the mention of the humans. We're talking about humans, and we're talking about human chefs crafting human food for great humans who want good meals. You may not have time to go and cook something at the end of your day. I know I don't. But Factor sends me these great fresh meals. I heat them up. The teriyaki salmon.
Oh, here we go again.
I recommend it to all. Ignore Jim's suggestions. They're not good for your stomach.
The filet, no, they're excellent for your stomach. The filet mignon with the creamy Parmesan shrimp that you can just dip your fingers in that creamy Parmesan and just lick them, and your tongue will slap your brains out. But folks, once again, fresh, never frozen, over 100 rotating weekly meals, globally inspired flavors, Mediterranean, Asian, Cucamongan. There's always something new to look forward to. Try the newly launched ready-to-eat salads with vibrant ingredients. They tell me like elote corn and miso edamame meat. And there you go. And you'll call your mommy and you'll say, you suck compared to Factor. You can't cook at all.
Oh, don't cuck your mom. Leave your mom alone, and don't worry about I don't know why you're pulling mom into this.
Well, because you used to like mom's cooking, but now you're going to like Factor, and you're going to throw rocks at your mom's cooking, or at your mother if she's standing in front of the stove. And folks, this stuff will be ready in 2 minutes. So at least it's over quickly.
Because it's fresh, because it's sent to you fresh. That's the great thing. It's fresh, like having a brand new fresh meal.
Some of it could still be alive. With a little carrot, could have lived.
It is not alive. They guarantee your food. I don't know why, if this is a way to say it. They guarantee it's dead. They guarantee your food
is dead, ladies and gentlemen. Then they shop and prep and cook and deliver straight to your door.
Straight to your door, fresh.
Straight to your door. Or if you live in a basement apartment, straight to your hatch. So you have more time for everything.
Straight to you, I think is the way we should stress it. Straight to you.
Yes.
With fresh, chef-crafted food. Again, we love it here in my house. I know they love it in Castle Cornette. Some of us love the teriyaki salmon more than others. Find out what you love today. We have a great deal, Jim. Jim, the CM Punk of this show, about to offer a great deal to all the listeners.
Well, that's right, because I've talked to that no-good fucking agent that shoehorned this spot into this show. And they've lowered their prices.
Let's not. Our agent's a very nice man. Let's not do that. That's not nice.
Well, I was talking about Ari. Ari Emanuel, he's got his finger in everything, but don't worry, he don't have a finger in Factor. But folks, you can finger your Factor by just going to factormeals.com and use the code JCE50 off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with a new subscription only while supplies last until September 27, 2026. But that's way off in the future. So you can grab them greens now because there's, the thing about greens is they don't stay green long. You want to grab them now. Boy, they're out there at the Factor Factory. They're mowing alfalfa and chopping up fucking dandelions, and they're stuffing them in boxes ready to send to you. Plus your food, factormeals.com/JCE50 off, and use the code JCE50 off to get 50% off and the free daily greens per box of food.
Food that we love, Factor food, or just Factor Meals. And why don't we do that? Factormeals.com.
Well, it's food from Factor.
Factormeals.com/JCE50 off.
The website is factormeals.com, but you were correct in that it is food from Factor. It's Factor food.
That we love.
It's not Factor fiction. There's no fiction here.
We love it. You can too. Once again, factormeals.com/JCE50 off. Jim, before we move on with Raw.
You know what they could do? Factor starve. Because like either you eat Factor or you starve. So Factor starve.
Yeah, not a good idea. I don't know if that's necessarily the marketing suggestions they should be listening to right now. But Jim, before we move on with Raw, a couple questions coming out of the previous segment. One, the mentions of The Rock. Did that almost tease that The Rock kind of has to be involved in some way at WrestleMania? And again, if he's no longer bloated, and you call him bloated... No, does The Rock have to be involved, do you think, after the way it was mentioned in this?
No, I don't think. This was not done to me in a way that I can't wait to see The Rock come back and get even with. It was done to get under Roman Reigns' skin about his family. And he's already mentioned his father. He's talking about his cousins, the Usos, regularly, but who is the most... goddamn high profile member of the Roman Reigns family tree, but The Rock. So he was insulting. He was needling Roman Reigns by insulting his cousin, the well-known Rock, and also because he gets a pop because everybody knows who The Rock is. If he insulted, and by the way, your cousin Greta, she's a fucking whore. Well, no, who? So, but this wasn't done in a way to me that makes I don't think anybody wants to see The Rock at WrestleMania season anymore after the last time or two.
And tying into that question, coming off SmackDown with the McAfee segment and specifically what he said on the microphone, and in a lot of ways you could see this as the rebuttal. Cody Rhodes got on the mic later in the show. The story that's going around, at least, is that allegedly Triple H and other people were not happy with what TKO has done with creative by shoehorning Pat McAfee into this, that they told Cody to go out there and say whatever he wanted. And that's what happened. I guess the point is, no matter how much of this is a work and how much of it's a shoot, it's clearly now a concerted effort to go in this direction. It's been a lot of years since we had heel authority figures. What do you think of the idea that all of a sudden they're seemingly beginning to present TKO as the heels and the wrestling stars as the baby faces?
Well, that's part of what I was saying before when I said, boy, you can do the work shoot promos if you're talented like Punk or a few others. Some others can't. This is a tricky thing. And again, I think it is because Nick Khan or Emmanuel, they get around the business, because the business at its core is still the fucking wrestling business it used to be, that every once in a while would attract, somebody legit, IT Flatto. It would have back to the turn of the last century. It would attract somebody with some money, some attorney, some person that had been successful in another area, and they wanted to be around this. And they're incredible businessmen. And they've got incredible track records of success, and all these people own to Hollywood. But when they get around the business, do they want to? They see feedback on the internet. and they imagine scenarios. Well, let's take this and run with it and make it part of the storyline. But when it starts, they don't think everything through 15 ways, like a lot of the wrestling fans do, or a lot of the people who've been in a wrestling business do, because they know that this can turn sour if people don't particularly like it. Then you're just calling attention to a bunch of shit you're doing that they don't want you to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think with the celebrities and the blah, 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 instead of a lot of the diehard fans that are going to spend the most money are saying, well, okay, we've always had celebrities, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous. You've seen those comments, Brian, where even the longtime fans are saying a little bit too many celebrities.
Yeah, so Lil Yachty actually went off on some fan the other day for doing that. And he's like, I've been working my ass off to get here and do this. And he's actually been good, so I'm not going to complain about him, but...
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is...
It's the way you could tell they see Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee as being bigger than their own stars. And they shouldn't present it that way, let alone think it.
Yes, and putting them into... But that's the point, is they're taking complaints that the fans have had. High ticket prices will work it into the thing. Too many celebrities or whatever will work it into the thing. Or I believe that what they have done is they've worked it into the thing that, yes, that Ari Emanuel and whoever else that is on his, in his orbit and giving him advice, and ESPN, well, we'll do this cross promotion and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, stick him in there with Randy, because he ain't a longtime fucking wrestling fan. He's a goddamn deal maker trying to get cross promotion. And I can believe that Cody and or Triple H and or anybody who's been in the wrestling business are like, oh, goddamn, fuck this up and muddy this shit. It's so fucking simple to do, you son of a bitches. And they want to vent, because now, instead of the focus being on Cody and Orton, the focus was on a lot of the fans complaining about where the fuck did Pat McAfee come from. But the point is that if they're blurring this in, but a lot of it is, I think they should have just maybe address what a lot of the criticism is, like lower the ticket prices without goddamn. I mean, it was brilliant for Punk to say it. It makes him a great baby face, but just address the problems people have. Maybe back off on the goddamn celebrities being in every main event and even wrestling in every fucking match, and back off on the ticket prices and give the people what they were kind of expecting, which is what you should do at WrestleMania. Because what the people are expecting is what has been being built to for however long. That's why they expect it. Am I making any sense, Brian?
You're making a lot of sense. And again, when we were talking in advance about who's Randy Orton talking to, the guesses we had, half joking, but I said Vince McMahon or Stephanie. You said Cowboy Bob or Randy himself. There's no one there.
Several people said they liked that idea, as a matter of fact, nevertheless.
I think any of those ideas are better than McAfee, who doesn't work in the spot. I even saw several people say Kevin Owens, and I'm like, man, that would have worked. If it was Kevin Owens here, wrestling fans would be abuzz about that. McAfee's here, and here's what I think. I don't think McAfee's ever going to convert more of the Pat McAfee show fans to be wrestling fans than he has already. Like, there's nothing else. It's not like all of a sudden, now's the time I'm going to go check out what Pat's doing. If there's any convertible audience there, they've been converted. And you didn't really excite the wrestling fans the way you would have hoped to. I think Kevin Owens would have actually done that. Kevin Owens would have gotten the WWE fans talking, and it would have been better. And we'll see where they go from here with McAfee, but this does not seem like it was needed or is a good idea. Or that he's the right guy for it.
That's besides, again, not making any sense, he's not one of those guys that because he in his promo when he was talking about how the Attitude Era was so much better and Randy was great back then, but you people now are the shits of that whole. I mean, I could go out there and do that promo, but that doesn't necessarily. There's a way to do it without pointing out how much better shit used to be. Which, if you're trying to be the heel on the program, well, I did that 30 years ago on the NWA thing. I'll tell you how great it used to be. But you can't just have Pat blurting out kind of smart fan lines from the comments section on a news site. He has to have a bigger grip of the whole picture to like have a punk to weave in and out of that, where it's not really detrimental to what they're trying to fucking do or what they've been doing.
Well, we'll see what happens. We are on the road to WrestleMania, and there's more Raw.
Oh, I forgot. There is, isn't there? Did you see Austin Theory versus LA Knight, by the way?
I saw in the background. I wasn't paying too close of attention to the match.
It's Austin Theory against LA Knight, and Theory has Logan Paul and I Show Speed in his corner because they're going to set up another celebrity fucking match. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. And I watched because I like to watch Austin Theory work. I'm sorry. I'm just a fan. And LA Knight ain't just a bowl of fucking oatmeal either. But they had a nice match. It didn't go that long because there was a break in the middle. But then the finish, LA Knight is on the floor looking at I Show Speed when Logan Paul shoves Speed from behind into LA Knight. And then Speed gets scared because LA Knight chases him to the back. But the Usos come out and they block him off. So did you see the leapfrog? Did you see the kid leapfrog LA Knight?
Yeah.
In the entranceway, so that was off a fucking floor rather than any kind of a springy ring. He leapfrogs LA Knight and runs back, gets back in the ring, but LA Knight catches him. Now, of course, the match is still going on, but it's not. Because Theory's just laying there waiting for all this foolishness to be over with. And then finally, as he catches him, Logan Paul jumps up on the apron and LA Knight nails Logan Paul, and then Theory schoolboys LA Knight from behind 1, 2, 3. So now the match is over, but then Speed is stuck in the ring with the three baby faces. Actually, he's not stuck in the ring. He's just sitting there and acting scared, and he could have just rolled out. But he's laying there and he's scared. And the other heels are on the floor just standing there watching the three baby faces menace him. And then finally they get the idea to whip him into the ropes so they can do the 3D to him, the Usos, but that's when the heels trip him and pull him out. So basically the story is that the heels don't give two shits about this guy, but he's hanging around. What's the relationship here?
And he helped him last week. So I don't know. I think didn't we first see I Show Speed with Logan Paul? Like he was one of his social media friends at one of the wrestling events, or am I thinking of something else?
Yes. No, that's and then Braun Breaker speared him at some point for some reason.
Is he represented by Ari Emanuel? Again, all these guys who are all over the show, that's the question I have now. Who's representing them?
You know what? And while I talk about what they did here right after that, just type in to the Googler, I Show Speed, and where did he fucking come from, and what's the deal with him? But so they pull him out, and they're starting to leave, but LA Knight does a promo as a get out here, Adam Pearce, and challenges for a 6-man tag team confrontation at WrestleMania with LA Knight and the Usos against Austin Theory, Logan Paul, and I Show Speed. So how the vision has dimmed. A couple of key injuries, and we went from the new 4 Horsemen to the new fucking flunkies that are going to get whipped by a goddamn internet guy. Where is he from? Do we have any information?
He's from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Son of a gun, right up the road. How did he submerge into the public consciousness?
He's 21 years old. He is an American influencer and online streamer, regarded as one of the most popular online streamers and internet personalities in the world. Known for his dramatic and energetic behavior he displays during his variety live streams, including in real life streams conducted in various worldwide locations. He has been viewed as a cultural ambassador, as he visits countries often to showcase their cultures and inventions to domestic and international audiences. Are you getting anything from this?
Well, in the vaguest terms, I'm not sure that I can see this guy that I'm seeing on TV going and, getting the fucking lowdown from one of the priests at the Sistine Chapel on its history. I'm not sure that what did he actually do to get all these people to start watching him? What does he say? What does he have to say for himself?
He would stream himself playing video games. That's how it started.
The fuck? What? Isn't that like streaming yourself playing golf, but at least you can sit down?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Ari Emanuel.
Well, anyway, so there's a 6-man. So again, the vision, they're almost having to ignore that Logan Paul and Austin Theory are even still ambulatory to try to paint, because Seth Rollins is trying to paint the picture that Heyman's almost all alone where you get him where he wants him. They've just trivialized these two fuckers to where they're working with the Usos and a guy who gives us the lowdown on fucking plantains in Panama. Who do you think's going to win that match?
Maybe one I don't see much of. I don't know. It has to be the Vision, I would think, but it's a 6-man, so they could lose and not lose the belts.
They gotta beat, because there'll be a riot if they don't at least. The celebrity that's a 21-year-old kid is on the heel side, and he ain't going to be the one to drop. That's like the manager, for fuck's sake. He better drop the fall. He better, if they're not trying to pin him, he needs to pull a Murdoch as a rib and just roll one of them on top of him and fucking pin himself. The fans will fucking burn him alive. Can you imagine? Jesus Christ, they'd have a riot at WrestleMania if I Show Speed was to fucking. Anyway, would you like to continue with the program?
I feel we must.
We must improve our bust. So Finn had a thing with JD, and then AJ Lee talked in a kind of a snotty fashion to Becky Lynch, and Bayley wrestled Lash LaRue, and then we got Seth Rollins back in the saddle again. He got a big response. He got the singing, and then he milked the goddamn singing forever. And then he said, "I am back." I think they should have some kind of penalty, Brian, for public singing. Unless you're talented like me and can really belt out a tune, I think it should be like a Disturbing the Peace. They should come in and write people tickets for singing in public, especially at put extra security on at the WWE events. So, point being, he's a big baby face, and that's been a foregone conclusion since he got hurt. But he had to do a promo that was prefaced in saying that I have no idea what Gunther's problem is with me. We have no history. We have no personal issue. I have figured out it's because Gunther has gone into business with Paul Heyman. I mean, is that this is the response that the fans had when they found out it was going to be Gunther and Seth Rollins. Where the fuck did this come from? And now they've worked it into the deal, but they almost have to, don't they?
I mean, there's a promo in the back we'll talk about in a little bit. It's kind of silly that he's coming out there and saying the truth, which is we have no idea what has happened, what this is being caused by. And then Gunther sneaks up on him again. Look, this whole WrestleMania build has been desperation. And they found something with two guys who aren't hurt, and they're just
two
going
guys that
for
aren't
it.
hurt. You know what? If they still did the card and newspaper ads, I swear to God, if I was still running a promotion, it was still doing newspaper ads like I used to, I would make the opening match two guys that aren't hurt and just to fucking rib everybody. But that's Seth wants to win back the World Heavyweight Championship and kill the Vision. That's his goals. Well, goddamn Vision is a shell of its former self. And they're not, again, Seth is talking about, well, Reed's on the shelf and Braun Breaker's on the shelf and these other guys are busy. They're not acknowledging it. Heyman's managing Brock Lesnar in the biggest fucking buzz match at the whole weekend. And I'll take Brock to be my bodyguard over all of the other fuckers to begin with. So, but they had to pivot and put Paul in a more prominent position at WrestleMania with Brock than with the guys that he's had for the last 6 months or whatever. Anyway, if Gunther is listening, Seth said he's a shield for if he's a shield for Paul Lee, then it's personal. And then Gunther jumped him from behind and they got in a fight. And they had a pull apart and Gunther left. And then the agents didn't work this hard when they were still wrestling full time. Every week, there's 3 pull-aparts now. And in the back, Gunther saw Paul Lee, and Paul Lee was saying, I don't know why you did what you did in Madison Square Garden, but I owe you a hearty handshake or whatever. And Gunther shook his hand and says, you owe me so much more than a very big hand. Thank you. And so apparently this means that even Paul Lee was unaware. So it further weakens Seth's case that at least Paul Lee went behind his back to fucking hire Gunther. So therefore I should really be mad at Gunther too, because he's with Paul Lee. And that kind of undermined that premise, didn't it? Help me?
Well, I can't help you because I don't understand what they're doing unless this is somehow the beginning of the build to Gunther and Brock down the road. Right? Like you
down the road.
Well, because it can't be now.
Down the road.
Because it can't be anytime soon, especially if he loses to Obafemi. If it's going to be something where Gunther is going to be the one to retire Brock, I mean, I guess technically going to Brock's guy and demanding the match and getting it could. I mean, I don't know what else it would be or what.
We don't know if we're just saying we think that Gunther should retire Brock. We don't know if Brock's on board with that. Brock may go all the way to where they book his retirement match and then say, you know what, fuck it, I'm good, and not do that last job. See? And that's why he fucking sells tickets, because people think, you know what? He just might do his own shit. He's the only one. Anyway, so after the 6-man tag with all the Americanos in it, they had Rhea Ripley and Io Sky against Kayfabe and Mia Yim. I thought Rhea was free of this tag team situation, but nevertheless, then there was a moment that got some conversation on the internet in the back, in the one of the Judgment Day huddles up where they have these heartfelt talks and pump each other up, and Dominic is left and fucking Rochelle is left, and Liv Morgan is standing there talking to Roxanne Perez. And again, bear in mind, this is I don't know if they do these live. I think they may have done this live, be quite honest with you. But it's in the back, right? It's just with the one camera. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, where they're standing around an equipment case speaking. But this is, I've never seen anything like this before. Some way or another, doing a backstage interview, Stephanie Vaquer managed to put two people on the concussion protocol with the same fucking shot. I do not know that has ever happened before in wrestling, that you would give two motherfuckers brain damage with the same blow. Can you think, Brian? Come up with one.
I can't come up with one, no.
I don't. Let me describe what happened for the fans, and then I will explain why I watched it 18 fucking times, and I can't say that I don't understand what happened. I see exactly what happened. I don't understand how any of them let it happen. Well, poor Liv was kind of, I think, maybe innocent in all of this as much as anybody could be. But as Liv is standing there talking to Roxanne and they're having this heartfelt conversation, from stage left, off camera, Stephanie Vaquer flies into the scene and nails Liv Morgan in the back, and Liv flies forward and headbutts Roxanne Perez as hard as I've ever seen any motherfucker, male, female, animal, vegetable, or mineral, headbutted. And poor Roxanne immediately, I don't know, she may need some type of reconstructive surgery. She went down and turned over holding her head and never got up again. And Liv went down, and there you can see there's Stephanie. A word on her in a moment. There is fucking Stephanie trying to pull Liv up to her feet to run her into something else, when Liv is like, don't know whether to wind her ass or scratch her watch. And then she does run her into the goddamn TV screen head first. And that'll look good too, because I don't think Liv was in a position at that point necessarily to know what she was running into. What the fuck is the matter with Stephanie Vaquer?
And obviously pictures went around on social media of Liv with a giant knot on her head.
It's bigger than half of a tennis ball. Cut a tennis ball in half and fucking stick it on the front of her fucking forehead. That's what it looks like.
And of course, the TV shot looked great too. Like you said, that looked great. But knowing that she may have been out of it when she got picked up and thrown into it is kind of scary.
Out of it when she got picked up and thrown into it. That's a very descriptive way of looking at it. From her standpoint, she had to be like, what the fuck is happening? Why will the bells not stop ringing?
I thought it was Raquel.
Why don't the birds go on singing? No.
I thought it was Raquel at first, because she had just left the same direction that Stephanie came in from, and they both have black hair. It happened quick. My first thought was Raquel.
You know what? Some friend she is. She had to pass Stephanie and didn't say a goddamn thing.
You would think, what did Stephanie do wrong? What do you want to... I could tell you're about to go off on Stephanie Vaquer. What do you have to say here?
Okay, well, first of all, the reason why I can't understand how this happened is because I could understand if they didn't know that this was coming, if it was a shoot, and the Liv had no idea that somebody was going to give her a blow from behind and she was going to fucking have a double knockout with Roxanne. They were somewhat close together. And the thing is, Roxanne was looking in the direction, or was standing in the direction that Stephanie would have been coming from. And I think she probably either thought to herself, or somebody had said to her, well, look down so you don't just see this woman charging Liv Morgan from behind and you're, just stand there looking at it. But when she looked down, she bent in toward Liv instead of looking down, but like to the right, like on the floor, like, well, I don't know, just turning her head away. Because Roxanne they should have taken this like you take any other double knockout, or it's a shoulder tackle souped up. You left shoulder to left shoulder, flat, flat, boom, with one person's head, both people's head turned to the right. But with Roxanne, and I mean, people could go back and look at this and see what I'm trying to say. Roxanne being close to her anyway, and then bent down to look down so she wouldn't see the girl coming, but now she's bent her head right toward Liv. Secondly, has anybody told Stephanie it's a fucking work? What in the flight? You don't need... If you come from behind somebody, the best way to stop them from behind is a nice fucking broad arm across the goddamn shoulder blades. And you maybe with your left hand, you're going to give them a little push in the fucking back, like just to help them go in that direction, but you're still going to work it. This girl had to come. I don't know if she could have been any more full speed, but even if she was just pushing, she pushed Liv Morgan hard enough that if you had let's say a history of neck issues, you might have got a whiplash out of that fucking shove. And I don't know how hard she actually hit her because she flew into the camera so quick you couldn't get a fucking gauge of it. But Jesus H. Christ, I've seen videos on Twitter of people getting run over by small cars that they didn't fucking bounce that fast. So somebody needs to tell her, hey, it's a work and we'll work with you. When you hit me from behind, I will of my own volition go forward and have a double knockout with this young lady without you hitting me like you're a goddamn city bus. So anyway, so the point is, Liv had the big tennis ball sized lump on her head. We haven't seen Roxanne's face. She may look like the Bride of Frankenstein. And it's 2 weeks before WrestleMania. That's what they said they'd been entered into the concussion protocol, whatever that fucking means.
Well, hopefully everyone's okay for WrestleMania. Liv and Stephanie Vaquero. Liv's one of the best performers on this show or in this company, so you hate to see her get injured or have anything delay what is going to happen with her, but perhaps, Jim, she needs a good night's sleep coming out of that concussion, and perhaps Roxanne Perez.
I don't know. I think she might not have completely woken up all the way yet.
Well, perhaps Roxanne Perez as well needs a good night's sleep after you get concussed and thrown through a TV. You may need a good night's sleep, and of course, when we need a good night's sleep in my house, or they need one at Castle Cornette, we rely on Helix Sleep.
Oh boy, I'll tell you what, and it's often that we need a good night's sleep because, Brian, you wouldn't think that the people have a grip on how trying and hard it is for us to run our empire that we do here. They think it's all sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, and waterfalls. We have stresses and trials and tribulations, but that's why we like to lay down on something that's going to give us that good night's sleep. And again, I don't know whether Roxanne and Liv and Stephanie, they might need a spanking before they go to bed for their bad behavior. I would even volunteer to do that so that they would know, they would learn a lesson. Their behavior would be modified. And then they could sleep on their stomachs, if they got that spanking, on one of the Helix Sleep mattresses that all you got to do is fill out the quiz and it'll tell you if you sleep on your stomach, well, this is the one for you. Or if it's only a temporary situation, normally you'd like to sleep, I don't know, cross-legged or upside down or engaging in some kind of yoga position. You just go to helixsleep.com.
They have something for you is the point.
They get the yoga mattress. It's got little Yogi Bears printed all over it.
That's not a model they have, but you can do yoga and find the mattress just for you and your achy body parts, or perhaps you do it regularly, you just feel revived. You need a good night's sleep or maybe a good afternoon's nap. Whatever it is, there's a mattress for you.
Why don't you just sleep the morning away? Why don't you just do that?
Hey, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's see if we can do the entire day in bed on a Helix sleep mattress.
Folks, there's no better mattress to either win a bet or engage in a contest or just be, I don't know, restrained and tied down to in some fashion. If you are in that position, you'll want to be on a Helix mattress. They got over 20 models, so you can find the perfect model for you. And they'll send that model right over with the mattress. And then whatever, it's up to you. Are you preparing for a spring cleaning, Brian? You know how the old mattresses have collected their dust magnets. It's like a giant sponge filled with muck and mire and avarice and pestilence and pieces of bugs. You need to get that thing, just throw it right out the window. And especially if you live in a high rise, well, they won't be able to figure out which window it came out of. And get you a Helix delivered right to your door.
That's right.
Well, no, and in the big cities there at this time of year, there's an increase in mattress fatalities from these mattresses falling on people. So do it at night when fewer people are on the street.
Don't do it. Call somebody and they will take your mattress from you, but you don't need to get rid of the new one.
They'll charge for that.
The new one from Helix Sleep will be, I'm yelling, it's great. It's a great mattress. I'm on it right now. It's wonderful. Jumping up and down. Helix Sleep.
You're so angry. No, you just turn your lights off in your apartment and shove the mattress out and nobody can see. But if you will sleep better than when the Helix Sleep mattress is delivered to your door with free shipping in the United States, it's a seamless delivery. You'll get no stitches from this whatsoever. There's the 120-night sleep trial and the limited lifetime warranty. There's a happy with Helix guarantee, which offers a risk-free customer-first experience. If you're the customer, you come first. And it's always good to come first on a Helix mattress. So you're going to be completely satisfied. This copy is so sexually suggestive.
Can we somehow, this is getting out of hand with you.
Well, I'm just reading these words that are being put in front of me. Folks, talk to your family about their experiences with Helix mattresses. Find out from your sexy cousin what kind of experiences she's had on the mattress she has in her home. And then you'll see that Helix is the one for you. So, and then send some of those stories to me and I will read them here on the air. Or potentially just at night alone myself on my Helix mattress.
In the shower, maybe.
In the shower, possibly, with a loofah. Now, you know how much...
Let's get away from the sexy cousin and get to the sexy deal for a great mattress.
Well, 20%. How's that? Does that tickle your taint? 20% off. That's sexy. Because right now, if you act quickly after you hear the sound of my voice, you go to helixsleep.com/JCE and you're going to get 20% off site-wide. Big mattress, small mattress, little mattress, tall mattress, soft mattress, raging hard mattress, throbbing mattress. It's all 20% off. helixsleep.com/JCE. That's the little code you use to get this deal, because I have pull in the mattress industry. So come on right now. Come one, come all on the Helix mattress. You will sleep like you're sleeping in a rainbow covered up by a cloud.
Once again, Helix Sleep.
Why are you screaming? People are trying to sleep.
Well, we could cool things down. No more yelling. Let's get back to the very calm WWE Monday Night Raw.
Well, because we haven't had a pull apart yet tonight. Oh, I forgot we did. But nevertheless, so I knew something was up. They've been milking the contract signing between Obafemi and Brock Lesnar all night, but 11 minutes left in the program. We get Triple H and Adam Pearce's introduction. They come to the ring and they go to break for 2.5 minutes. So when we come back, now there's 8 minutes on the air, whatever the fuck. They start to talk, and Paul E interrupts, and he waddles out. I think he's losing weight gradually. Either that or he had one of those vacuum procedures where he sucked it out of his face, but he's still got the midsection treatment to go. Because when he did the big introduction and Brock came out, I was noticing that as they're standing there, his stomach is about the same width as Brock's chest. So they kind of look like they fit together like part of a puzzle. Maybe he did that on purpose. Nevertheless, by the time they both get to the ring and the people are chanting, Oba, Oba. And then they introduce Oba with 3 minutes left on the program. And he does the full entrance with the lighting and starting to do and he's doing the strut. And boy, you would have thought when I said, what is the deal with the fucking strut? That people said that or the people thought that I said he should be launched in a rocket into the sun. No, he's going to be a major star. I was like, I would not. The strut seemed to me a bit comedic for such a towering, menacing persona. But now everybody's doing the little strut and going, Oba, Oba. But the point is, by the time he gets to the ring and starts to get in, there's 1 minute, 30 seconds left in this program. I figured they better sign quick, right? And Brock jumps him coming through the ropes. They go to the floor. Oba posts him. They fight back into the ring, fall over the table. 20 guys come in to pull them apart, and we're off the air. So, again, they're proving me somewhat of a prognosticator in that I said, whatever the fuck they're going to do with these guys is going to be very brief before WrestleMania. And that ain't going to take too long. And that is bit, but I didn't know they were going to do it this many times. Just every time okay, let's have a pull apart. But,
and apparently the brawl continued for a good while after the cameras went off because there's plenty of footage out there now, fan cam footage, and I think even WWE official footage of the brawl continuing, throwing the chair at each other and just trying to throw more things into the ring, Brock threw the stairs into the ring. So it went on for a while.
I wish we'd have seen that and see if they weren't taking bumps for each other and beating each other up. They were just throwing shit. Why didn't we see that? They can, it's Netflix. They go as long as they want. That would have souped some things up a little bit, but this was a little flat to wait for 2.5 hours or whatever to see literally 45 seconds of scuffle.
Imagine if Brock threw Heyman.
Oh my God. He'd be arrested for attempted murder. Heyman could kill somebody flying through the air.
That could be their new thing. Christ. He picks up his manager and throws him at his opponent. You know what? It was short, but it was exciting. It was one of the highlights of this show. The CM Punk interview is obviously the other highlight. I don't think we can say the concussions were highlights. But at least a good beginning.
And by the way, I'm sorry that an update on Roxanne Perez. She has the same kind of fucking lump on her head Liv had, but apparently she's tweeted out that she'll be all right also. But what the fuck? But go ahead.
Any thoughts about the fact that they had Brock attack him as soon as he came through the ropes and then Oba immediately took over on Brock?
Well, no, they have still not had Oba show any vulnerability. That doesn't mean he can't be punched and sell or whatever, but of any major consequence, he's been unstoppable, which he needs to be. But again, I think if they continued it afterwards, goddamn, they should have stuck with it. Maybe they thought that was going to be it. And the director said, okay, let's, get out, or that was the plan to get out quick or whatever. But as long as I said, they're not taking bumps for each other, or one is obviously getting the upper hand on the other with all the people in the ring and they're throwing them around and they're throwing chairs and all that shit. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but But no, it's no surprise. They're not. Oba can, take a few blows and keep on ticking, but they're not going to get serious heat on him before WrestleMania, I wouldn't think, because the idea is it's the match with the biggest buzz, and the fans want to see someone finally be crowned the new beast by slaying Brock Lesnar. So they want to keep the idea that that's going to happen in people's mind.
One exciting conclusion to WWE Raw. The road to WrestleMania continues. Jim, this morning as we are recording, WWE officially announced the lineups and the nights for WrestleMania on ESPN, and we have the cards here if you want to quickly review this.
Oh, I guess we should for the sake of completionism. Now, is this the lineup or just the nights? Because we know they do screwy order with the matches sometimes.
I don't know the order of the matches.
The order can't be set in stone this far ahead.
Well, the only thing that can be is this. The first hour, which is going to be on ESPN2, will contain, in an unsanctioned match, Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu, and a 6-man tag match of LA Knight and the Usos versus The Vision and I Show Speed.
Now, wait, is this is if we tune into, what do we watch the pay-per-views on now, or the premium live events, or whatever the fuck? This is the Disney thing, right? And then we go to Disney and
it's the ESPN Plus, I believe, but it's under your Disney account if you go to that streaming service.
Yeah. You got to have these notes tacked to the side of the television. But we're going to see that if this is on ESPN, it's also going to be on the regular broadcast. We're going to see this, or do we have to tune into ESPN first and then go to the goddamn?
Well, again,
how does this work?
ESPN would be wrong. It's ESPN2. The first hour will be on ESPN2 in the United States and Netflix internationally from Las Vegas.
But is it also going to be on the regular?
It has to be.
One would think.
Well, let's go to I guess we wouldn't say main card, the part of the card that they put behind the paywall. For the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship in a fatal 4-way, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Lash Legend and Nia Jax versus Bayley and Taya Valkyrie. Oh, no, that's not Taya. Lia Valkyria, excuse me.
Oh, jeez.
The Valkyria got me. Versus the Bellas.
Oh, the Bellas. Well, that's just swell. We're not predicting anything now here. We're just, these are the matches, right?
Yeah, clearly you're not predicting anything.
It's unpredictable. You're unpredictable, yeah.
All right. One of the biggest hit songs to sample Andrew Dice Clay. And once again, this begins 6 p.m. Eastern on April 18th, Saturday. Jim, for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, the champion AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch.
Well, hopefully they'll put the 2 girls on to have the regular match before they put the 8 girls on to have the fucking no DQ match. And that's all I got to say about that.
Well, it's a fatal 4-way. Is that no DQ?
Well, of course it is.
Because it's fatal? Because of the risk of fatality?
If it's fatal, how can you be disqualified if it's fatal? See?
All right.
Think about that. No, all the 4 ways and 3 ways and 5 ways are no disqualification. Do what you want. Bring what you want. All toys are allowed, whatever the case.
Jim, in a match with no stipulation, no championship, and seemingly no reasoning.
My God, I remember when they used to have those.
Seth Rollins versus Gunther.
That's going to be a great match because it's Gunther, and Seth is going to be over like Rover. And,
or at least his song will be over like Rover.
Well, no, they're this is the most dedicated fan, spending the most money. He's come back triumphant from an injury, sustained in the line of duty. They're going to love him. They're going to have him kissing their babies and fucking dating their women, whatever the case. They're going to love him. And it's going to be a good match, but there's it just got sprung on us. So I don't think anybody's like, oh God, I can't wait to see that.
For the Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vaquero, the champion, versus the possibly concussed Liv Morgan.
Headbutts legal. Liv does not, well, I can't say that. You used to say to the boys, you don't have a hair on your balls if you don't so-and-so, but Liv Morgan better give Stephanie a goddamn receipt in this one. I'm not talking about giving her goddamn brain damage. I think she needs to punch her in the fucking face real good once.
All right, that was your prediction for that match. And finally,
that's my prediction.
Jim, the main event of night one, Saturday, April 18th, WrestleMania, Vegas, whatever number this is. For the undisputed WWE Championship, the champion Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton with Pat McAfee.
Boy, howdy. Now that you've laid out the first, before we comment on this match, now that you've laid out the first night, that's a rough first fucking night, isn't it? Because
it seems light, yeah.
We kind of want to see Drew and Fatu because we like Drew and Fatu, and they rhyme. But that's going to be apparently opening the show. I'm not anxious to see the Usos, and Speedy. There's 3 girls matches. What the fuck else was there that you just read to me? And that's how impressed
the 6-man with Speedy.
Well, I just mentioned that.
Fatal four-way.
Gunther and Seth.
Yes.
So we're really watching that fucking 4-hour extravaganza to see Gunther and Seth because it'll be a good match, and then Cody and Orton. Gonna be a long weekend.
Well, it's night one. At least it starts early, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Well, and let's make a prediction here. I think Orton's gonna fucking win it.
Kind of has to, doesn't he?
And the problem is that if McAfee was not involved in this in any way, and this whole thing had not happened, and they just done Cody and Orton right, or just told more of their story, and just Orton cutting these promos and the relationship they'd had, I think it would be great, and I think it'd be the time to put the belt on Orton. And Orton would be a major baby face leading to dropping it to a younger heel maybe later on in the year. And Randy's still kind of a major baby face, but he's got the baggage around his neck of the fans that want to cheer for Randy, wish that Pat McAfee would engage in self-immolation. Look it up, kids. And just dis-a-fucking peer. And so they've muddied it. So I still think Randy ought to win, but they're not apparently going in a direction that they ought to fucking gone. Because of the publicity.
And remember, too, it's only a few years ago they made WrestleMania 2 nights. For many, many, many years, it was one night. Jim, let's talk about Night 2, WrestleMania Vegas, Sunday, April 19th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The first hour on ESPN.
I'm not even going to go through it.
Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi.
Oh, you know what they're going to do, don't you? I bet you. I bet you they're going to put that on ESPN so that they can crow about the incredible audience that it got. What do you think?
It's an interesting pick to put this match on ESPN. You could argue that Brock Lesnar may have more crossover to the general sports fan than most wrestlers on these shows because of his UFC background, and his name has been out there in the ether for a long time. But also, Jim, during the first hour on ESPN.
Well, and by the way, I should say, are we all in agreement that if Obafemi doesn't win this somehow, he doesn't have to powerbomb Brock and leave him laying flat of his fucking back and then desecrate Heyman's mouth over the top of him, but he needs to win the fucking match and get his hand up, even if Brock is sitting there shocked and stunned. Are we in agreement of this, that they're insane if they do anything else?
I think so, although it's interesting because Oba has gotten the best of Brock every single time they've interacted. And then Brock's going to lose the match too? I agree with you that it's the right thing to do for Oba, but it's just, I mean, they've never used Brock Lesnar like this ever. It's kind of stunning.
Well, but at the same time, when you think about it, never used him like this, he's taken like 5 bumps. See, that's the thing. They've done this so well that it's bigger in people's minds than what they've actually done. He's power bombed Brock, and then he fucking dropped him through the fucking. But it's just 1 or 2 moves. They have settled nothing, and the way that they've done it, there's always people in the way. And I think Brock will probably waltz Oba across Texas, as Ernie Ladd would say, during the match. Again, short, high impact, exciting. You want Oba to sell being beaten, but you don't want Oba to sell immobile, unmoving, in just obvious on his back like a turtle, Jeopardy, can't get up. So it'll be boom, 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 smash mouth, whatever. But in the end, after Brock has hit fucking Oba with a couple of F5s and goddamn runs at him to give him the big one, and Oba comes out of nowhere with that one big pop-up boom. 1, 2, 3. There's going to be something to that.
Jim, also on ESPN during that first hour, for the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match.
Oh, Christ.
Who is the champion? Oh, the champion, Penta.
Exactly. Who is the champion?
Versus JD McDonough. Versus Dragon Lee. Versus Javon Evans.
Oh.
Versus Rey Mysterio. Versus Rusev.
Oh, Christ. What? Rusev in a ladder match with... What the fuck? Are they trying to get rid of him?
Somebody's got to catch every jumping guy.
But fuck, who's going to catch him when his fat fucking ass is up on top of that ladder? I don't like to see Rey Mysterio in these multiple man goofy ladder positions because he's going to get hurt again. And I'd love to see Javon Evans doing something with someone else in a like wrestling match type of thing. But oh geez, no. That's 6 of them, right? In a ladder match.
That is indeed 6 people, yes.
Well, everybody wants to be on the show. So I'm hoping for Javon to win just because he's the only one I really want to see do anything out of that bunch.
Well, Jim, the card that will only be on the ESPN app, not on free TV, Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio.
It'll be swell.
For the WWE Women's Championship, the champion Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley.
Okay, I'm hoping that they come to their senses and the Jade experiment with being the champion is over, and she's going to be a heel over there with her baddies or whatever kayfabe and Mia Yim are. But the belt probably needs to come back to Rhea Ripley at this point.
Jim, for the United States Championship, the champion Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. Well, I thought they made this a 3-way. I guess they didn't with Carmelo.
No, remember Sammy had to match with Carmelo and Mello turned yellow.
Well, Sammy versus Trick.
Is this going to be a double turn? It's going to be a double turn into people's minds. Where are they at? They're in Las Vegas.
They at Las Vegas.
They ain't in fucking Canada anymore. Trick Williams is going to be the goddamn babyface, and Sammy, because of what they've been doing. It's not like this is people just hate Sammy, but they're going to boo his ass.
And finally, Jim, for the world.
That's it.
For the World Heavyweight Championship, the champion CM Punk versus Roman Reigns.
Well, I take back what I said about the first night. The second night seems a little light, too.
Now, again, we're over a week away from WrestleMania.
Well, I don't want them to add any more. Goddamn, these shows will be 6 hours each. I'm just saying, but yes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, that's the night 2 main event. That's with these promos and these guys. And that, level of engagement, that's what it is. And that's probably the most interesting one. What the fuck is going to happen? I'm not sure. Because I don't think necessarily they need to take the belt off of Punk and put it on Roman Reigns to show up every so often. But who's to say that they can't pay him to start showing up more often since they got more money than the fucking federal government? Or, but think about this. When they invented the world heavyweight title and put it on Seth, so it could be the working man's title or whatever, it was because that Roman Reigns had the WWE championship that was the most important and had been around for these many years. And we were sitting here going, well, and Seth he's doomed because nobody takes this belt seriously. Now, the way that they've worked it out, the main event of night 1 is for the WWE championship that Cody got to win by finishing his story. But the biggest match at night 2 is for that world heavyweight title, and Roman Reigns is challenging for it.
Well, there it is. WrestleMania.
There you go.
WrestleMania Las Vegas, or just Vegas, it says here. Well, Jim, as we are recording, a lot of listeners are sending this over. I'd like to get your thoughts if you wouldn't mind. Ric Flair has issued a missive on social media 1 hour ago as we are recording. Obviously, the first letter of every word is in caps. I woke up this morning to find out that I'm no longer allowed to be with Roots of Fight per WWE. Let me think. I'm the only wrestler to ever be on 30 for 30 and ranked in the top 25 of all time. An Enemy-nominated documentary, courtesy of WWE, which I should have won, but I lost to a team, not an individual. 21 world championships, but I always played by your rules and kept it at 16. Paid Vince McMahon back $800,000.
Wow, wait a minute, that was a depth charge. That just sunk in on me.
Paid Vince McMahon back $800,000 when he said he would forgive it. I honored it. Fortunately, I still make $1 million from the great Ryan Fitterman, Fitterman Sports Group. $500,000 from Ric Flair Drip. And thank God for Tony Khan. What more of my legacy do you want to destroy, WWE? You all grew up loving me, and I set the bar. Now you are all trying to kill me and diminish my legacy. Thank you, but it ain't happening. Nice try, LFG. And then it says here, Nick Khan is an Egyptian. No. I added that, but what are your thoughts? Apparently Ric Flair, once again, has fallen out with WWE.
Well, what is Roots of Fight? I've heard this phrase, but is this a clothing line? What is happening here?
According to what I'm seeing here, the first thing that comes up when I Google it is The Rock wearing one of their shirts. Roots of Fight is a media, lifestyle, and apparel brand that celebrates the improbable achievements of today's most legendary athletes, innovators, and ...
Well, so is Flair under? How can they prevent him? Did Roots of Fight get an exclusive deal with the WWE and they've iggyed Flair out? Flair is not under contract to WWE where they can tell him not to do stuff, because elsewise they would have told him not to do a lot of things here lately.
If you go to Roots of Fight, if you Google it, one of the options that comes up is wrestling, and here are some of the shirts they have for sale on their website. Roddy Piper, CM Punk, Randy Savage, more Savage, more Piper. And again, I know Randy Savage is represented, his estate's represented by an agency. Piper was represented by his kids. I don't know who else is. Bret Hart. Andre the Giant, his daughter owns the rights and licenses it out. CM Punk. Bret Hart. Rey Mysterio. Nothing official WWE that I'm seeing. But apparently Ric Flair may have had a deal with them, and apparently WWE told him he's not allowed to.
Well, I wonder what prompted that. Why, if Roots of Fight is associated with all these other people, some are under contract to WWE and some that are not, why are they telling Ric Flair? Or is that what Roots of Fight may be telling Ric Flair? I don't know. This doesn't make a lot of sense.
I would think that if Ric Flair has a Legends deal of any sort with WWE, it would violate it for him to go have an independent t-shirt deal with Roots of Fight or whatever it is. That would be my thought. I know Andre the Giant has no exclusivity. That's why there's lots of independent Andre the Giant merch. Randy Savage, same thing.
How is the Legends deals, are they more restrictive now than they used to be? Because a Legends deal used to be, well, we'll give you, X and we'll book you for appearances and we'll sell some merchandise for you, but it wasn't like you can't enter into other agreements if you want to, etc. Now that was the way they used to be. Maybe they ain't that way no more. But how the fuck would I'm just saying, why would they say, oh, don't do any more Flair fucking shirts? Fuck him. Unless there's more to the story.
What are your thoughts on 21 World Championships, but I always played by your rules and kept it at 16?
I think that he's fucking pissed. I'm just trying to figure out what else there is to the story. But yeah, he's flexing his documentary and all that other stuff, like who did you ever beat?
It's funny too, after all of his money flexes. I make $1 million from this, 500,000 from that. And thank God for Tony Khan.
Yeah. How would I be able to make ends meet on only 1.5 million? And I mean, is he working for AEW now? Still I thought that thing went by the wayside long ago.
I don't know.
After what was the Ric Flair drip
Woo Energy
or whatever?
Woo Energy. I don't know what happened, but apparently Ric Flair, and he sent us out with an image. You may have seen it before. It's him driving in his car. It's a fan image, I think. In the late 70s, early 80s. He's wearing a suit with a turtleneck, blowing a kiss. And it has the Roots of Wrestling logo here, and it says rootsoffight.com, victory, defeat, style, and swagger. Diamonds are forever, and so is Ric Flair. And apparently this is not on their website right now, so I don't know where this came from.
I understand some people are getting into using AI for their social media advertising these days. He may have placed himself into that.
Well, we will see what happens any further with Ric Flair here and this sort of bizarre activity. But Jim, maybe part of the problem is Ric Flair's management of money. I mean, he said it here. Everyone always talks about his spending. When someone loans you $800,000 and says, don't worry about it, keep it, and you go, no, I insist, let me give it back to you, maybe you are really bad with money. And maybe it all starts in your pocket. With the way you carry around the money.
I would agree that most of the things that have caused Flair trouble started in the vicinity of his pocket.
Well, Jim, of course, for those at home who need a good wallet, a compact wallet, a stylish and functional wallet, and nothing overbearing, not too much, not your grandfather's wallet with every business card he's ever collected, our friends at Ridge Wallet are there to hook everyone up.
Well, no, because see, here's the thing. Every business card that your grandfather ever collected, all those people are dead too. So you don't need those at all. What you need to do is keep track of your money and your credit cards and your ID and your very precious, most personal items. And actually, you know, the only problem with the Ridge wallets is you can't stick any condoms in there. They'd get flattened pretty bad. But for valuable things in other fields, the Ridge wallet, we talked about their power bank where you can plug everything in and just charge your whole life. Now you can hold the rest of your life right here in the Ridge wallet. It's made from titanium and magnesium and kryptonite and all these incredibly hard metals that are impossible to damage. That's why these things are also great with doubling as Oriental fighting stars. Because, boy, howdy, if you get a good spin on this thing, just like skipping a flat rock, you could stick it in the side of a guy's head.
Although possible, it is not advisable. I think we should say that.
Well, I can say that, but, you know, still the possibilities are amazing. Folks, once again, not a giant crusty leather brick, but a unique, slim, modern design that holds up to 12 cards plus cash. And made, as I said, with premium materials, carbon fiber. There's another one. Over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from, a lifetime warranty. This thing's going to last longer than you do. I think if somebody was to walk up behind you with a ball-peen hammer and hit you in the head and then hit your wallet, hit you in the head and then hit your wallet, the wallet would last longer than you did. And that has to give you some peace of mind. There's over 100,000 five-star reviews because of their RFID blocking technology. It keeps you safe from the digital pickpocketers. A lot of people are wandering around with this apparatus where they can just stick it up your ass and they can determine your credit card numbers and steal your identity.
Metaphorically speaking.
Well, that's right. It just needs to get in the vicinity, really, not all the way up the fucking rectum. Well, this wallet's going to block that, so they can't get up your rectum, metaphorically speaking. Actually, if you stick this in your shorts in the crotch, then nobody will be able to penetrate you either because it'll act as like a kind of a blockage there above your sphincter.
These are not the things that they recommend at all us doing, and these are not features that are recognized.
Well, see, these are hacks, like the kids call it, where you can use... you know, something for more than one reason. But anyway, no matter what you do with it, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all of their products, which include key cases, suitcases, and rings, and power banks, and all those other things. So regardless of whether it's not just stuff you can stick in your ass. So right now, if you go to ridge.com, RIDGE.com, and use the promo code JCE, you're going to get 10% off. 10% off these fine products, as I mentioned, the power banks, the wallets, the key cases, the suitcases, the nut cases, the mental cases. 10% off all of them at ridge.com with promo code JCE. And Brad, that way you're going to save money that you can then turn around and put in your Ridge wallet. See how that works?
It works somehow in some of those ways, but a great
It's
wallet.
called synergistically.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Synergistically here, I love my Ridge wallet, and we think you will too. Once again, ridge.com/JCE, the code JCE.
Yes, that's it. And again, you can anally insert or not. It's up
Jesus
to your
Christ.
discretion.
No, don't do that.
Well, if you're going to jail, they'll never find it that way.
Well, Jim, I feel like we're in podcasting jail right now. Why don't we play some Guest the Program?
Hey, that sounds like a wonderful idea.
It's been a minute since we played. Let me get my programs out here.
We do deserve having a little frolicky fun with the listeners with one of our favorite segments and one of their favorite segments as we go through the annals of wrestling history.
Of course, Guest the Program. I go through programs in my collection. I quiz Jim on the lineup, and he guesses the town, the date, the location, and anything else he could figure out. Let's go to this first card here, Jim.
Hold on, I've got my pen here. Where's my pen? My pen. There's my pen. Now I've got paper. Now I'm ready to go.
One fall 30-minute match, 30-minute time limit, excuse me. Billy Red Top Lyons versus Ian Campbell.
Ooh.
There's a lot of wind behind me. I apologize. Jace.
It's hot air.
One fall, no time limit. Country Boy Calhoun versus Frank Hewitt.
Oh.
The double semifinal, 2 out of 3 falls, 60-minute time limit. Tor Yamato versus Tinker Todd. And the main event, Death Struggle, Texas Rules, Buddy Rogers versus the Zebra Kid.
Okay, I, first of all, am flabbergasted for a reason that I will reveal later. But Billy Red Lyons obviously was a great babyface. He was originally from Canadian Ontario, correct? And transitioned into being one of the early agents for the WWF, doing some commentary, etc. Ian Campbell, is that Black Angus? That's Black Angus, right?
I would believe so, yes.
Who was big as a heel in the Central States territory in the 60s. This is probably early in his career because they're calling Billy Red Lyons, Billy Red Top Lyons, and Country Boy Calhoun would indicate that that's early in Haystacks Calhoun's career, and that takes it to, go ahead.
I'll give you a clue because there's a picture of him in here. Country Boy Calhoun is pictured with his manager, Count Rossi.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Count Rossi was one of the early managers, and he was primarily in the Tennessee territory working for Nick Goulas, which this is where we are at this point in time, not necessarily Tennessee, but a Nick Goulas production. Frank Tarzan Hewitt was a old-timer, a traveling journeyman heel. Tor Yamato was the Japanese heel that got over strong in the Nashville territory for Goulas and Welch in the late 50s. And he was so over that when P.Y. Chung came into the Goulas territory, they renamed him Tojo Yamamoto. And Tor Yamato got killed, did he not? Died an early death. What am I thinking about? Was it his wife shot him? Was that the deal? Or am I conflating that with someone else? You're not helping me any, are you?
I'm trying to look it up because I'm not sure. I actually don't know.
And while you're looking at it, Tinker Todd was a journeyman wrestler that appeared everywhere. But it fits the time frame that he would have been in the Goulas territory also. And Buddy Rogers against the Zebra Kid. Did you say this was what was the stipulation?
The stipulation, Death Struggle, Texas Rules.
So it basically a offshoot of the Texas Death Match. I would assume that Zebra Kid was George Bolus at the time period, but you never know with Nick. But point being, I think this was 1959 in Birmingham, Alabama.
All right. The town, Memphis, Tennessee.
God damn it.
May 6, 1957.
Oh.
Promoter Les Wolf.
You know what? In that case, then, what'd you say, April?
May.
That was
May 6, 1957.
May 6th. Even this was earlier in the month before Roy Welch bought the town and took over from Les Wolf. Buddy Rogers was working regularly in Memphis at that time, and so was Calhoun. I should have thought of that. God damn it. What threw me off was Tor Yamato.
Who was shot by his wife.
There you go, who was shot by his wife. But I thought this would be Birmingham or potentially Nashville because all these guys were working for Nick at that point in time, but this was, as I said, Memphis a couple weeks before Roy took over. All right.
And it says it's the biggest card of 1957 at the Ellis Auditorium. Also, Country Boy Calhoun, 552 pounds from Georgia, makes his debut here tonight, meeting Frank Tarzan Hewitt in a one-fall special event. Calhoun has never been defeated in his 9 months of professional wrestling. He is the largest man in the wrestling game today. Hewitt weighs in at 250.
By the way, for a little while in the territory at that time, they had Calhoun and Buddy Rogers as a team. Can you imagine that?
No, I cannot. The referee for the card tonight, Billy Darnell. Star heavyweight Mat Man will referee the entire card.
And Buddy Rogers' best friend and favorite opponent.
There we go. There was that one.
All right, I suck so far.
It was good. You got, the fact that you got the ghoulless territory, although technically not ghoulless yet, I thought that that was closer than I thought you may get. So that was very good.
Yeah.
Jim, this next one may be difficult. Adolf von Hess versus Tony Cosenza.
Jesus.
Johnny Walker versus Ivan Melenkov. Alexander the Great versus Miguel Torres.
Jesus.
Tag team match, 2 out of 3 falls. Mr. Puerto Rico and Ricky Hornado versus...
Oh, come on.
That's his name. Versus Augustus Massa and Al Toro. And the main event, 1 fall to a finish. Antonino Rocca versus Tony Altamore.
Good Lord. Okay. Obviously, Johnny Walker would go on to become Mr. Wrestling 2. And actually would go on just to become Johnny Rubberman Walker because this was early in his career. Because elsewise, Rocca wouldn't be on the card. And I don't know, Miguel Torres, was he a Northeastern enhancement talent, as they say, or am I even misremembering that? But no, I don't have a fucking clue who any of these goddamn people are. And Rocca and Tony Altamore, that's why I would think it some kind of outlaw show in New Jersey right after Rocca left, fell out with Vince Sr.'s like 63, 64, because Tony Altamore is on it. Or would it just be an outlaw show in some other part of the world that brought Rocca in and Tony Altamore came as an opponent for him? Out of Passaic, New Jersey at a National Guard Armory in 1964. I don't know.
Not bad. The date, Tuesday, March 10th, 1964. Bay Ridge Sports Center, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Holy shit!
This is a Jim Crockett Sr. promoted card in the WWF territory. It's even the same look of the program, the Star Wrestling program. You probably have seen these, a lot of the Willie Gilzenberg programs. But this is Rocca going up against Vince McMahon.
But none of these guys, besides possibly Johnny Walker, were working the Carolina territory at that time or at any time. To your knowledge, right? So this wasn't like Crockett was bringing the crew he had in the Carolinas at that time up there. He was just running shows with Rocca, and that would have been a period of time when Tony Altamore was on the outs with Vince Sr., and then just whoever. That's insane.
Well, it seems like that, Jim. Let's get another program here. Good job, though.
Well, thank you very much.
The opening contest, Terry Shane and the Texan versus Penny Mitchell and Terry Allen, mixed tag team title match.
Oh.
Title match, huh? Charlie Cook and Scott McGee versus Kevin Sullivan and Snake Roberts. Barry Windham versus Jim Garvin. A grudge match, Cowboy Ron Bass versus Kendo Nagasaki. And finally, a special challenge match, Dusty Rhodes and Rufus R. Jones versus
and the R stands for guts.
Versus Angelo Mosca and Ernie Ladd.
Oh Lord, you're taking it easy on me here, because this has to be Florida already. But now the question is, because there were so many big buildings in Florida, this is a pretty heavy card. Terry Allen is Magnum TA in the opening match with Charlie Cook was a former NFL football player that worked well in the Georgia, Florida, Tennessee territories, 70s into the early 80s. Scott McGee, Kevin Sullivan, Jake Roberts. Obviously, this was when Kevin was probably first starting his otherworldly dark side group that he had of people hanging around him. Barry Windham and Jimmy Garvin. Barry would be the baby face, which means this was the start of probably Jimmy Garvin morphing into gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, because he had been a baby face up until very recently. Ron Bass and Kendo Nagasaki. That narrows it down a little bit, because Kendo Nagasaki was in Florida in 81, 82, because he made a couple of shots in Tennessee being managed by J.J. Dillon against Lawler when they were trading talent. And then finally, Dusty and Rufus R. Jones against Mosca and the Big Cat Ernie Ladd. Dusty was the booker at this point, which means that it is right before that he left Florida to go to work for Crockett. So it seems late for me to say 1983, but it seems early for me to say 1982. I'm going to say late 1982 is the time in Miami Beach, Florida.
Not bad. The date, Tuesday, November 23rd, 1982, Tampa, Fort Hesterly Armory.
I was 240 miles off.
But you got late 82. That's what counts. All right, Jim, this next one I'm sure will be a layup for you. Let me get the card.
Oh, boy, here we go. Another fucking mystery bunch.
Lager Larson versus Henry Strongboy Lenz. Feature attraction, Tough Tony Bourne versus Nelson Royal. Special event, Dano McDonald versus Mighty Milo.
Oof.
And the main event, for a title I will not name versus a state champion I will not name. Pat O'Connor, I'll just say it, the World Heavyweight Champion,
Well, yeah, I was about to say.
versus Bill Melby, best 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour, sanctioned by the NWA.
Well, Logger Larson and Tony Bourne indicate Tony Bourne is forever linked with the Pacific Northwest and Oregon. They have lumberjacks up there, and that's where Logger Larson might have come from. Mighty Milo was not Milo Steinborn. He would have been too old at this point. So I'm not sure who that was. Dano McDonald. Nelson Royal being on the card against Tony Bourne. I would think that Nelson Royal would be the babyface and Tony Bourne would be the heel if this was early enough. But then later on, Tony could have become the babyface. This could have been when Nelson Royal was doing his Sir Nelson Royal British heel gimmick. But regardless, Pat O'Connor being the world champion narrows down the time frame somewhat. But at the same time, are we in the Pacific Northwest, or is this a red herring on your part? Would this be... Oh, fuck it. I got nothing else to go on. 1960 in Portland, Oregon.
The date Friday, February 20th, 1959. Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, fuck.
Bill Melby was the Utah State Champion.
You know what I was going to say? I never knew anything ever happened in Salt Lake City, but wasn't Bill Melby popular in that area when they actually did have fucking wrestling in Salt Lake City?
Bill Melby was a big star that's forgotten today, but if you look at like the cards he was on, some of the houses you could say he helped draw in the 50s, the early television era, he was a pretty big star.
But I mean, it's in the Midwest and places of that nature, especially.
And obviously, I'm giving you too many easy ones here. This one, Jim. The first match. Are these just the main events, or is this the whole card? Hold on.
Oh, boy.
All right, first match, main event. 2 out of 3 falls, 60-minute time limit. Billy Scharbert versus Johann von Bronner.
Oh, Christ on a cracker.
And the main event, 4-man tag match, 2 out of 3 falls, 60-minute time limit. Buddy Hack and Larry Clark versus Salvador Martinez and Davy Crockett.
That's it?
That's it. You may have to go.
That's the card.
You may have to go based on your knowledge of television more than your knowledge of wrestling to figure out this one.
Okay. Buddy Hack is a name that I actually recognize because Buddy Hack was an outlaw indie guy that worked Western Kentucky and some in Tennessee and was on a lot of the early Phil Golden's All-Star Wrestling cards that when he tried to compete with Jarrett in the early 70s in Louisville and places in Kentucky. Again, Johann von Bronner would have been somebody trying to be one of the von Bronners, Kurt and Carl von Bronner, Sal Martin, no idea. So I've got to think that this was probably Buddy Hack, who used to run his own outlaw shows, may have run this. And with 5 of his friends. Paducah, Kentucky, 1968.
Oh, wow.
What?
Just how far off you are.
Oh, all right.
Jim, Wednesday, October 3rd, 1956.
What?
Davy Crockett's on the show, let me remind you. Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh, my God.
This is the Bowling Green Wrestling Journal. Devoted to wrestling, the only year-round sport.
So again, I said Buddy Hack was in Kentucky Outlaw for a long time. I didn't realize he went that far back because I was watching him, like I said, on Phil Golden's TV in 1972. But yeah, none of these people were. And Nick Goulas used to run Bowling Green regularly out of Nashville. So these were, it wasn't like they were the only wrestling game in town and they were still trying to draw a house.
Says here, Davey Crockett switches sides and chooses to wrestle the rough way. He has Salvador Martinez for his partner in a tag match on Wednesday. And there it is. Bowling Green, Kentucky. All right, let me give you one more, Jim. You're doing so
One
well.
more.
All right, this is a cool one. The first event, Benny Mata versus the Mongolian, who's from Mongolia.
Oh, okay. I thought most of the Mongolians came from Italy.
In a special match, Jim, Billy Boy Hines versus Wild Man Phillips from Kentucky. A 6-man tag match, Dickie Steinborn, Chief Little Eagle, and Bob Boyer versus Dutch Savage, Dale Lewis, and Pepe Gomez. For a title I will not name, the champion Bob Orton versus the challenger Nick Kozak. And finally, a battle of the neckbreakers. Freddie Blassie, 231 out of St. Louis, versus Mario Galento, 219, the Bronx.
Okay. Thank you for giving me that, because I was all over the place up till, well, Benny Mata versus the Mongolian, who knows? Raul Mata was a star. Benny was not. Billy Boy Hines was the Hines brothers were a tag team, Billy Boy and Bad Boy Hines. And they worked a lot of Southern territories in the 60s. Dick Steinborn was Milo Steinborn's legitimate son. Milo Steinborn, not only an old-time wrestler, but a famous strongman, and who did feats of strength, and it got written up in various magazines in the 30s and 40s, and then was a main event wrestling star also. But later on became a promoter in the Florida territory for Eddie Graham. Orlando, wasn't it, Brian, that he promoted?
He had a few small towns, I believe.
His partners, Little Eagle and Bob Boyer. Bob Boyer, the reason I chuckled is because nobody remembers Bob Boyer's name anymore, but he was most famous as Bobby Bold Eagle with the Indian gimmick for Bruiser and, well, a variety of territories all over the country in the, I think, probably early 70s through the end of the decade, and spent a lot of time in Indianapolis. But he was actually Italian, but he looked great in feathers. He had a cool ring entrance. He would get up on the apron of the ring, and then he would, in the corner, he would walk right up the ropes like he was just walking up the stairs, bottom rope, middle rope, top rope, and then step off of them and kind of come down in the ring, not like a big forceful jump and a crouch, but just like he stepped off and floated down. And with that 6-foot-long fucking feather Indian headdress, it was cool. Nevertheless, Dutch Savage would be most particularly known, again, for the Pacific Northwest, but this was early in his career. He was still traveling. Dale Lewis, Professor Dale Lewis, was an NCAA wrestling champion, and it was a pretty big name for a while, especially late 60s, early 70s in the South. And in Tennessee one time, Brian, they made Dale Lewis and Danny Hodge a tag team for like a month. Can you imagine the guys thinking, I've got to work with Danny Hodge and Dale Lewis? And Pepe Gomez, I'm assuming it was Pepper. This is correct?
I assume the same. There's not a picture of him in the program.
Bob Orton, the reason why there's no junior or senior behind that name is because he was the only one at the time. This is Bob Orton Sr., Randy's grandfather, against Nick Kozak. You would think that Nick Kozak's name is in Texas because that's where he later on would settle, but This was early in his career. And what helped me, thank you very much, Freddie Blassie versus Mario Galento, because now I know whereof we speak. The only question still is the year, but I'm going to go with the Atlanta City Auditorium, somewhere close one side or the other of 1965.
Wow, very, very good. A great way to end. We have to end with this one. Friday, September 17th, 1965, Atlanta, Georgia. Lou Thez here next week. And it says here from Paul Jones, this is exciting news, which I had to inform the wrestling fans of Atlanta about. I have succeeded in getting Cowboy Buddy Fuller signed to a contract to wrestle World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion Lou Thez. After weighing the abilities shown in the ring, I had to choose Buddy Fuller, so Thez will certainly have his hands full. If you want to see this match, I advise you to reserve your tickets tonight. And there it is, next week, Buddy Fuller versus Lou Thez.
There you go. And I wonder if he hit fucking Thez with that goddamn wraparound rabbit punch where he's standing in front of you and he hits you at the base of your skull.
Well, Jim, guess the program. We end on a high note.
Oh, hold on. We ain't ended yet. Wild card, bitches. I got something for you.
When we weren't ending the show, no, we were.
No, I got to guess the program for you.
Oh.
I got something for you, baby, right here, because our good friend, my close personal friend, New Zealand wrestling fan and historian Steve Ogilvie.
Oh, he's a good guy. I know Steve. Very good guy.
Sent me a package of some stuff, and in exchange, I'm trading some stuff I'm sending to him, and he sent this to me. And I just want to read you this card here, and you see if you can figure out where and when it took place. The opening match, Brian, a captain's match between the girls' tag teams. Well, more on that later. So it's basically one of the girl tag team members against the other girl tag team member in the captain's match, right? The next match, Ray Vilmer versus Chief Sunni Warcloud. The next match, the World's Championship Girls Tag Match. That's exactly what it says.
Jesus.
Kay Noble and Laura Martinez, the challengers, challenging Penny Banner and Lorraine Johnson.
Okay.
That's the card.
That's the card. Okay. Hold on. Kay Noble, and who's Kay Noble's partner?
Laura Martinez.
Laura Martinez. Not that it's going to help me writing this down. I don't know. Penny Banner. The real thing I'm thinking about, let me just say I'm not going to get this because this is an impossible card for most people to figure out. But Chief Sunni Warcloud is pulling me to the Carolinas for whatever reason. And maybe that's wrong. Penny Banner ended up there, but that wasn't the entirety. I mean, Elvis liked her. Ray Vilmer was kind of everywhere I could think of multiple places Ray Vilmer was in the early 60s. I'm going with 1961, a small town in North Carolina.
And you are incorrect on everything.
Ah, fuck.
But no, this was meant to be a rib on you. But what this is, something that Steve sent me. This was the Armory, later to become the Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh my God.
That was the card. And it's actually on a postcard. This was mailed out from the Goldenrod Athletic Club, 525 West Walnut Street, Louisville, Kentucky. That's the address of the Gardens, which was the Armory back then. But this was November 11th, and I'm not sure of the year because it doesn't have it on it, but this was right after the period of time. Louisville had been promoted by the Allen Athletic Club. The Haywood Allen was the promoter. We've talked about it in the past. And when he retired, his assistant, Francis McDonough, continued on, and they the Allen Athletic Club ran Louisville from the early 30s until 1957. And when Francis McDonough died in 1957, that's when things went belly up. There was always a strong local promotion in Louisville for that period of time. And they had ups and downs. And we've talked about they had outdoor shows at small parks that they'd cancel because of lack of attendance. But then they'd have runs of years where they'd run the Armory 6,000 seat building almost every week. And the Derby Eve shows, the night before the Kentucky Derby that they ran in the early 50s, bringing Fez in to defend the title, or Baron Leone, or the big stars off television, they ended up peaking out in the mid 50s at like 8,000 to 9,000 people. Before the renovations on the Garden, the Armory could hold for wrestling that many of the, it was jammed. But then suddenly, when the local promoter dies, Wee Willie Davis, who not only was a former pro wrestler and was one of the guys who had a tug of war with Mighty Joe Young in the movie, was working for the sheriff's department in Louisville. And he tried to become the local promoter and formed the Goldenrod Athletic Club to try to start, running the town. And the reason it was named Goldenrod Athletic Club, Wee Willie Davis was like 6'9" and 350 pounds, but he had been on one of the I've Got a Secret, or one of the 50s TV quiz shows, because he was an expert in horticulture and flowers. And the point is, he shit the fucking bed and Louisville was dead. And that's why that Barnett and his giant Midwest territory started sending talent down here. But there was just no local promotion. Davis was not up to it, whatever the parameters were. And then when Bruiser took over in 64, it was the same thing. They just sent 3 match cards. They didn't give a shit. And except for a period of time where Barnett was sending the talent in the early 60s, and they did some big Christmas shows, Louisville was kind of until Bruiser quit running it and Jarrett came along and opened back up in 1970. But this was the kind of cards they were seeing after they'd been used to Wild Bill Longson and Lou Thez and fucking all these top names from St. Louis and all the big booking offices. They got Ray Vilmer and the girls tag team championship.
Well, to be fair, this is only a few years after Mildred Burke drew 50,000 people to Louisville. So obviously,
come on now.
They thought the women would really draw a big house here.
It wasn't 50, it was 43. No. But anyway, and the biggest, as big as the card for November 11th is the ad, "Don't wrestle with inferior windows and doors. Call Frank Scroy at JU78819. Frank Scroy was from Louisville, and he had broken in and become a wrestler in the mid 50s. He never really went anywhere, but he had a job at Arthur G. Eller Window and Door Company at 710 East Broadway in Louisville. And they took out an ad with his wrestling picture to try to sell windows and doors to the fucking wrestling fans. He later would become the chairman of the State Athletic Commission.
Well, that was Guess the Program, and he may have been able to sell windows and doors, and maybe it's because he was listening to motivational speeches on his Raycon earbuds, or perhaps not, because that was a long time ago. But of course, ladies and gentlemen out there, whether music or podcasts or motivational speeches, you need to listen to what you need to listen to with the right device. Jim, I'm turning it over to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll turn that thing over and find a snake under that rock. You know, with Mother's Day coming up, it's a great time of the year to give mom something to listen to keep her busy, and also just to keep her entertained so you don't have to. And that's why it's a wonderful gift. This is the only gift that you can get your mother that both fits into her everyday life and fits into her ears. Because think about it, when she's going out for a walk, she's running the errands, whatever she's doing, the Raycon Everyday Earbuds Classic are a great option. She sticks them right in. That's all she's listening to. She don't know what's going on in the world. All the bad news, the strife, the heartache. Everybody's got heartaches by the numbers, but she'll be listening to Numbers by Pat Boone and the Andrews Sisters and Lawrence Welk and all of her favorites.
How old's your mom?
Well, it depends on how old you are, Brian. There's a certain biology that has to be followed. Your mother can't be just giving birth to you at 86 years old, but
do you think there's any moms today that are like, let me go listen to Pat Boone and the Andrews Sisters? I don't know.
Well, maybe it's grandmother. You know, my grandmother would be 141 years old this year if she hadn't been dead for 50 fucking years. See how that works?
That is the Pat Boone audience.
And speaking of the audience for fine music and cultural appropriation, the new colors of the Raycon Everyday Earbud Classics are awesome. They've got blush violet. They've got cool mint. And so no matter what color is your favorite, you can take your ears and just make them that color. And they got up to 32 hours of battery life with the what? What do you?
No, they got lots of battery. Let's focus on the true
Focusing
stuff.
on the battery life. Yes, 32 hours of battery life. And the quick charge function where 10 minutes gives you 90 minutes of playtime. So you can charge this sucker for 10 minutes and then listen to an entire double album by Pink Floyd. And the awareness mode when you're out walking the dog or running the errands, let you turn the awareness mode on when you're walking the dog. Every time the dog shits, it gives you a little signal. Dog shit.
Again,
and every time that, if there's a car coming down the road, says, get the fuck out of the way.
Once again, they've asked us to not make up features, let alone features. Is that supposed to be a parrot? What is that voice exactly that you're doing that's supposed to be the Raycon?
It's the AI electronic voice that tells you that to make you aware. That's what the awareness mode is for, to keep you aware. So it's going to tell you things that you need to be aware of. Doc, safe's coming.
Well, again,
whatever.
Let's not talk about features that don't exist. I think that's one of the things
and then sometimes you can hear your wife, Polly want a divorce.
All right. Well,
so anyway, you
Polly
can
says
celebrate.
Read the copy. Polly says read the copy.
Celebrate the moms in your life. See, it says that right there. Whether they're your mother or someone else's mother or just a motherfucker, you can celebrate them. Motherfucker I may be, but the mother I fuck belongs to thee.
Can you keep your language straight?
Well, see, that's the way we talk down at the docks. Go to buyraycon, BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE, and you're going to get 15% off the Everyday Earbuds Classic. And what more can you want with all the features they've got, the colors they got, the sound quality they got, and 15% off and the ergonomic design that, have we mentioned it lately, stays put in your ear no matter what you're doing. Let's say gymnastics. Let's say running an obstacle course. Let's say being involved in a multi-car pileup. These things are screwed in so deep that they ain't coming out.
Once again,
why now, you say, at the end.
These may not be exactly the selling points or the facts or the truth, but what we can say that's truthful is we love our Raycons. They are very popular here in this house. I've got my pair. They are on lockdown now, but the rest of my family have their own pairs of Raycon after years of stealing mine. I know for a fact that Castle Cornette love their Raycons. Stacy Cornette loves hers. That's called a personal endorsement, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. And we think you may want to do the same once you get your Raycon. You can't
just come across these personal endorsements everywhere these days. Just like they're not common. You have to really go and hunt for them. And that's what we're doing right here. We're saying we personally enjoy these, and you will too, because of the color and the quality and the way that it screws into your ear. And then if you turn them up real loud, it gives you kind of a tickly little vibration. And then you start getting sexually aroused, and then you attract attention on the bus because they don't know what you're listening to.
You make it difficult. I pull you back and you jump right back over the line. But Jim, we are right here at the end of our line, and we have to let the listeners know about a great deal, a deal just for them from our friends at Raycon.
If you're at the end of your rope, ladies and gentlemen, and you just want to listen to something without people telling you what the fuck's going on, just go to buyraycon.com/JCE, 15% off the everyday earbuds classic in a variety of colors. Treat your ears.
Raycon!
God damn it, you just deafened me.
All right, we are here in the future. Is this going to stop? We are in the future, and we are still going. I guess that's the point, ladies and gentlemen. And
boy, is this going to stop. That's a quote that you should save and clip for later.
All right, well, let's get to some of the later.
Sounded like an Irwin Allen production over there.
Well, thank you. That's actually what I was going for, and that's the name of my new album. It sounds like an Irwin Allen production over there. The sounds of the great Brian Last. Stay tuned. That's coming on Arcadian Vanguard Records and Tapes. Jim, real quick, because we can't go through everything, but I find it amusing and I enjoy laughing about it with you. The latest PowerTown update.
Oh, boy.
Magnum TA did an interview. I did not watch it. I read plenty of recaps about it. And it's him explaining why he left PowerTown, but also not telling anyone not to support PowerTown. But the big story is Steve Rosenthal did an interview. Oh, and I don't have it in front of me, or I'd give credit to the person who did the interview. But the interview is...
Well, I don't know if it was an interview or a fucking dissertation, a monologue, a soliloquy. I mean, this guy sounds like Tony Khan by transcript. It was just endless transcripts of him saying the same thing 3 times in a row and then moving on.
But also changing things. Like in one sentence, he says that all the Remco figures are done and that everyone will be getting them. And then in the next sentence, they're in production. Like, what? Like, they were just done a second ago. Like, literally a second ago. Now they're in production. And this whole thing still feels scummy. According to Steve Rosenthal, the head of PowerTown, they used the pre-order money, or at least a good portion of it, to buy either the rights to or license the trademarks of Hasbro, the original San Francisco toy company, Galoob, so that they can release figures.
What about Gleat? Did they get any deals done with Gleat?
You know, real quick on this topic, because when we first heard about Gleat, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong from what you remember, we heard about it as being one of the newest, the latest, the greatest women's promotions in Japan, correct?
That's what I believed that it was at the time, yes.
Someone sent I think it was the Cult of Cornette Facebook page a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago, a Gleat poster, and it was all guys on the poster.
Talk about changing your marketing strategy.
Yeah, that really changes things. That's a real rebranding if I've ever seen one.
Now they should be Glute.
One of Steve Rosenthal's reasons for doing this were so bizarre I have to bring it up. He licensed the name and the trademark of Hasbro, the logo of Hasbro, so that they could put out their version of the classic Hasbro retro figures that we always talk about here on the show. And because they'll have the Hasbro logo, they can give Hasbro some money, because they deserve money due to the popularity of retro figures. It's the most bizarre argument I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was like, we deserve to, they deserve to get something out of this also. They're iconic.
What?
But it's one of the fans who listened to this caca pointed out that he said outright in basically these words that they took all that pre-order money, and originally it was just going to be a one and done thing for him. He's in his 70s. They were just going to do those figures and it boom. But then they realized we can make a big company out of this. Well, I'm in this for the long haul. And so they took the pre-order money and licensed all the names and rights and clearances to this other shit without sending the people the stuff that they had paid for. Because he's making it a bigger company now, Pinocchio. Is this what you gathered from that, from his own chicken lips?
Again, there's a lot to be gathered here, and let's give credit. It's from Wrestling Figure News, WrestlingFigureNews.com. The headline, PowerTown, Steve Rosenthal speaks on Remco's path forward and new licenses and investors. Posted April 4th, 2026. And again, he does give his version of events. At times you're reading it and you're like, this guy's a bullshit artist. This guy is just a complete dirty salesman. And then the next sentence will say, I'm a salesman. So it's really kind of funny. But give the interviewer, and I don't know his name other than this is his website, give him credit. He asked a lot of the tough questions. Here's one of my favorite ones. Were the Remcos produced? Steve Rosenthal's answer, That's what it is. MMMHMM. What kind of fucking answer is that? Where are they? They are at our factory in China, and we are making plans to ship them very, very shortly. So they're getting ready to ship them, but then later on here, why weren't they shipped in October? Everything had to do with our financials. No shit. They basically were not in production at the time. They are in production now. He's now saying they're in production. He said they're ready to ship a second ago. And we had to make the financial decisions.
And plus, there was that concrete.
Yeah. That's the worst answer you could get. He had so much to say about everything until it was like, where are they? Are they made?
Yeah. Every other question, it was like Tony Khan answering something about Japanese wrestling. And then, well, did you actually make these things?
And again, he's very big on their figures. I have to say, when they first came out, the belts to me are the best thing. It's the best looking professional wrestling figure belts I've ever seen. But they're really good, but I don't think anything from that Series 1 is better than the Abdullah the Butcher or the King Kong Bundy that Zombie Sailor just put out. Like, it's not like they're like so much better than everything, and this guy's acting like his stuff is the best thing ever. He's also saying he invented wrestling figures, which is absolutely not true, because they were out in Japan featuring major stars just a few years before Remco. But if I scroll down here, because again, everyone's trying to get answers. His factory is Lucky Yay. You can feel free to look them up online under the Lucky Group. They're one of the foremost manufacturers of action figures in China. All right. So we need a recon mission to this factory to get these figures, apparently, because it doesn't appear they're coming over via any way from Steve Rosenthal. The original San Francisco toy makers, Hasbro, Galoob. Apparently, a lot of the time they could have been spent making these other figures. They're really proud of the figures they did for Matt Cardona and his friend. And they made sure those guys got their figures at the same time they didn't do anything else for anyone. Whatever that tells you. Whatever that tells you.
Does Cardona's friend, he gets a figure too? Is he just get, what is he, the friend figure, or does he actually wrestle in some description?
He's the one apparently that linked them up with TNA. Those TNA figures that never came out with Moose and Jordan Grace, who's no longer there, and Josh Alexander, who's no longer there, and Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, Jordan Grace was one of the people wanting to find Steve Rosenthal, Greg Gagne, Magnum TA, anybody, I think, at one point, weren't they?
Yeah, but apparently the friend was the one who hooked them up with that deal, which may be why. Again, they got favorable treatment from certain people, and you have to ask yourself why. Did they want to manipulate the market by having these figures that they could take and sell at an inflated price and on? I don't know. Who knows what was going on? But that's the story. No one has anything. They're not going away. I mean, I guess if there's anything good to say about it, at least this idiot spoke up. But
now, and another thing, he did say that everybody's going to get what they paid for, even though some of it has been for like 4 years. Everybody's going to get what they paid for. and the buck stops with him, and he's in charge. And did he give his phone number or email or any way for anybody to contact him?
No.
No.
And by the way, he also basically said he has spent the last several months looking for investors and playing golf. And the last time we heard about him, Magnum today was like, leave Steve alone. Steve's busy. He really doesn't need anyone to bother him about any of this. All they were doing was taking the money that they raised for pre-orders and the amount of wrestlers that they signed up and trying to hook an investor instead of taking the money. And they're buying these trademarks that mean nothing. Listen to this. Question. So there is still a plan to still take some items to mass retail. Steve Rosenthal, we are going to market the Hasbro property exactly the way Hasbro marketed it from 1991 to 1994. Those 3 years between when LJN had it and then Jax. Let me stop for a second there.
Those golden years.
First of all, he's wrong. It was 1990. They introduced him in 1990. It was a big deal. I still remember going to Toys R Us at the end of 89 and being able to get every LJN they had there because they were all dirt cheap. Because they were getting ready to clear it out for the new figures. So he's got the timeline wrong. But going back to his answer, all of those cards are going to be the same. All of the color iterations are going to be the same. Because it's got Hasbro on it. It's the perfect opportunity for retail. I don't think the Hasbro logo or name is what sold the figures.
Yeah, well, here's the problem is,
you know what I mean? Like,
Steve, old Steve there, even I'm glad that he's in good enough shape to play golf, but we figured just by the dates that he was in business that this guy's in his 70s. And now and you said they took the money. Actually, the only one that we've pretty much established has access to the money is Steve Rosenthal. That may be why Magnum and Greg are no longer involved, but Steve has brought his friend Donnie in. And Donnie is the key liaison guy with China. Donnie's been going to China, he said, since the mid-70s. What is this guy? Donnie Mendelbaum? You think you're better than me? How old is this guy? 96?
Well, to be fair, he also later on said that Donnie started in the early 80s. So I don't know exactly when he would have been going to China.
No, he's been going to China since the mid-70s, I guess just on vacation. But he started in the toy company in the early 80s. From what Steve says. Nobody's seen Donnie. Donnie Brasco, I don't know what his fucking last name is. But Donnie will straighten this whole thing out as soon as he finishes his Metamucil. What the fuck is going on here?
Let me read you this. The question from Wrestling Figure News. We've seen wrestlers like Ricky Morton and Jordan Grace make comments about the situation with PowerTown. How has this affected your relationship with the wrestlers? What's the situation with royalties? That's something that came up this week on the Matt Cardona show. Royalties getting paid to wrestlers. And then Steve Rosenthal said, I have to look at the contracts, but even on the talent that we had under contract, royalties are paid when the merchandise is shipped. Now, I'm not using that as an excuse, but anything that we shipped, we've paid royalties to date. Whether the wrestler chose in some cases, they chose to take it in free goods because they make a lot more money autographing this stuff than they do on just simple royalties. But the Jordan Graces, the Mooses, they will all be paid. And I have intention, because now it's me, to the best of my ability, reaching out to all of them to make it very, very clear. I'm trying to explain to them. I don't think I'm going to be able to sit face to face with Jordan Grace. She'd probably kick the shit out of me. But I definitely have the intention of trying to reach out to everybody, including Ultras too, the Marty Funks of the world, and some of the estates. Please start by reaching out to Marty Funk and record.
Yeah, start there.
Record it.
See how far. Yeah, record it, audio, video. See how far you get with anybody else afterwards if you don't have her money.
When we introduced Ultras 1, Charlie Thez, who is Lou Thesz's widow, I sent her a check. She said it was the single biggest check she ever got. And if Lou was alive, it would have been the single biggest check he ever got his entire career.
Bullshit!
Now, I'm just saying Lou Thesz was the #1 figure that we sold, but we sold a lot of Lou Thesz. Some people laughed at us for doing Lou Thesz and Vern Gagne. Let's stop there. How could that even be possible?
It's not. It's horseshit. It may be the biggest check Charlie ever got. I'm not sure Charlie ever defended the fucking world title against Baron Leone at Gilmore Field. But no, they got... let's just say little birds have mentioned to me that they got a couple of thousand of each of those Legends figures they did, the Theszes and the who else was the Brody and a Magnum or whatever.
Stan Hansen.
Stan Hansen. Whatever the pre-orders were is what they ordered. And what they had, they had to remake some of them because legs were falling off. But there weren't thousands and thousands and thousands of those figures sold. And remember, I saw the contract that they were sending to Talent because I saw Stan's. And his would have had this, the Fabulous Ones figures that they were going to do would have had to gross like $2 million for Stan to have got like 25 grand or whatever. It was ridiculous math. So point being, no, that's not true that would have been the biggest payoff that Lou Thesz ever got. Lou lived a long life, and unfortunately, due to a couple of previous marriages and some forays into promotion, was not a goddamn multi-millionaire, but he made fucking big money for decades. Jesus Christ.
Lou, what was your biggest year? Well, there was the year I fought Ricky Dozan, and there was the year I had all those headline matches in St. Louis, but PowerTown. Once PowerTown came into the picture. But, the interview goes on. I encourage everyone to read it. Everyone has been following this story, Wrestling Figure News, an interview with Steve Rosenthal, who appears to be completely and wildly full of shit. But let's see. The one thing that's great for the lawsuit is he keeps saying, you're going to get everything you paid for.
Yeah.
I may be giving you false confidence, like confidence man, but you will get everything you paid for, I promise.
People forget what the con stands for. Confidence. When you have confidence in someone, you are theirs.
Well, that's the PowerTown update. We'll have retro figures next week here on the show. Jim, staying on the criminal beat, I have an article here from Essie Scoops by Andrew Ravens, if that is indeed his real name. Alberto Del Rio arrested on domestic violence charges.
Wait a minute, isn't this an old story? I've heard this one before.
This is from April 6th, so this is just a few days ago. Alberto Del Rio.
He keeps repeating himself then.
Alberto Del Rio, known as Alberto El Patron outside of WWE, was arrested on April 6th in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, if that's how you pronounce any of that, on alleged domestic violence charges. According to Milenio, which must be a paper, the arrest followed a 911 call from his girlfriend reporting physical and verbal assault. The report states that the woman suffered injuries to her face and arms. State Civil Guard officers arrived at the scene during the alleged assault and found the victim showing signs of violence, leading to Del Rio's immediate arrest. The suspect was handed over to the San Luis Potosi State Attorney General's office to face charges. A mugshot has been circulated online, and I have the mugshot right here. This marks the second domestic violence arrest for the former WWE champion. In May of 2020, Del Rio was arrested for allegedly battering and sexually assaulting his girlfriend, facing charges of sexual assault and assault causing bodily harm. He was later indicted by a grand jury and formally charged with aggravated kidnapping and sexual assault. Those charges were dropped in December 2021. Del Rio remains active on the independent wrestling circuit, primarily competing in Mexico. He was reportedly planning to open a new promotion prior to this arrest.
The story that I saw, or the article or the report or whatever about those charges being dropped on that previous one mentioned because there was a missing witness. And so this fucking guy, he's always in something. Have you noticed this? It's like,
yeah,
anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. This motherfucker lives in the wrong place and is always on the wrong time. Because
he is a walking future episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, yes. I mean, and I think they haven't done it yet because he's still giving them material. But besides that previous incident where, I mean, it was ridiculous. He was telling this woman that he was going to take her son and drop him off on the side of the road somewhere unless she put on a dress and danced for him. I mean, some kind of
crazy shit,
lunatic shit. And then not just this now, but think back. When I went over to England to do that commentary on that show that he was on, that's the only time I've ever met the guy in my life, and we didn't have a long conversation. But he was on the show. His arm was all bandaged up because the story that was going around at that point in time, and with retrospect, we have no reason to doubt it, was that Paige's brother had cut him the fuck up with a knife for something he had done to Paige. And I don't know what the specific thing was that he had done to Paige, Soraya, whichever name that she's using. But he almost ruined her life from the time that they were together. She was all on fucking whatever and getting in the news in the wrong manner. And he's got to be, 15 years older than she is. So that was questionable at best. And then, was he not involved in a fight with somebody else where they got him and another wrestler in the police station? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I'm not sure. I know there were incidents with him and Mystico. There was something in the WWE, but I believe there was some sort of incident where Mystico's friends pulled guns on him. Like before that, like there was been like long-standing heat between these two.
Who were the guys in the fight in the Mexican police station where they got in a fight and got blood on the walls? Because that was a big report about 8 or 9 years ago. I'm trying to think of it because it always seems like it's about Alberto. I apologize if I'm fingering him unnecessarily, but there's enough to go around. So is he, single-handedly keeping the cartel in business? And that's why he acts this way? Or does he really think he's goddamn, not Aldo Montoya. What was fucking Scarface's fucking name?
Tony Montana.
Or he may think he's Aldo Montoya. I'm not sure.
Jim, in 2016, Alberto Del Rio was involved in a brawl in a police precinct with his brother.
There you go. In the police station.
When they bought AAA, he was one of the top guys in AAA at the moment, and there were even rumors going around that WWE may bring him in, and then right away you heard WWE does not want to have anything to do with this guy, and they got away from him, and look at the trouble. Like you said, it follows him around, or obviously he causes it.
I think he's bringing it with him. Yeah.
There were even some things we saw, I think it was at least 2 or maybe even 3 different things where it appeared as if Alberto in street clothes on a television set got into a fight with a crew member or another guest, and it got real heated and everyone was involved. And then you hear, oh, it's a work. And I'm thinking, to build up what? Like, what are they promoting? I don't even know, but there's always something to the point where they're doing work shoots where he's getting into fights out there. And
I think it's just building up his, reputation as a goddamn maniac.
And by the way, a legit tough guy, right? I mean, he did MMA.
Yeah.
Good looking guy. You got to give him that. Good looking guy. He had everything delivered to him if he had just had his head on straight and been able to fucking keep it going.
Yeah. And I mean,
he'd be on top of WWE right now.
He wasn't that great a worker, but he's good enough to get by because he had more size than any other Mexican star. He was a good looking guy. He can speak well. He sounds kind of like a Tiger Ali Singh from Mexico, with that because he's the son of a fucking legend, that he's always had a very high opinion of himself, but they can work with that in the WWE. But a guy like that has a very high opinion of himself and is a fucking lunatic, they couldn't even fucking stand him.
See, I think Darkseid should do it now. And why wait? You could always do a part 2. But there's so much shit. There's so much just crazy shit. Even gives you a chance to talk about his family. Mil Mascaras and his uncle, and of course his dad. So that's the Alberto Del Rio update. A lot of crime stories here on the show this week.
Whew.
Jim, the final thing here this week, and we'll have questions return next week. There's been a few different things to come out in the wake of the unhappiness around WWE Creative, people noticing the ticket prices going up and at times not as many tickets being sold, the television shows not being as much fun to watch as they were just a little while ago, creative changes on top, TKO getting involved again WrestleMania season and changing creative apparently, the Cody Rhodes, Pat McAfee thing the other day, the CM Punk promo, all this stuff's in the air, and at the same time, we have Triple H appearing on the Cody Rhodes podcast to confirm that Vince McMahon was involved longer than they let on. And maybe more importantly, Brandon Thurston, typically of WrestleNomics, but for post-wrestling, put up an article. Paul Levesque, Nick Khan text show friction between Vince McMahon and Levesque over WWE Creative in 2023. So all of a sudden, there's a lot of talk going around about the process between WWE and TKO, the creative process, Vince McMahon's involvement then. I don't know if we're going to go through all these text messages. Nick Khan deleted almost all of his.
No, it's like a one-sided conversation. There's poor Triple H. Everything he said is right out there for everybody to see, and then Nick Khan deleted.
And clearly there were a lot of concerns from Triple H and maybe even beyond Triple H about Vince McMahon still being involved, and Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro never firmly stating that he's not going to be coming back to do something. They always kind of left the door open a little bit. But what have you seen about all this, and what are your thoughts just in general about what's coming out now about the process behind the scenes with WWE?
Well, first of all, let me say, I think it's fucking insane that they text each other back and forth shit that they all know that now that text is a thing that you can subpoena those and in lawsuits and discovery and et cetera, and they can read it. So why anybody does that is insane to me. I wouldn't have, if we'd had text. We have text now and I don't text. And I don't even have anything to cover up anymore. But they're conducting not only the wrestling business, but now they're in a publicly traded company conducting monkey business. And they're putting shit in writing that lasts forever, that can't be thrown away, except when Nick Khan deletes his shit. And it's to the point where there was one exchange where Nick Khan was trying to tell Vince something, and Nick Khan texted him, Lansig or whatever. And Vince texts back, what the fucking hell is Lansig? And he says, read it backwards. It's Signal, which I guess is another thing they can get on where it doesn't keep records of it.
Yeah, your message
so they can talk
away.
without.
Yeah.
The point of what the fuck? If it's that goddamn important and you're making tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, call on the goddamn phone. If I'm a billionaire and somebody's calling me about a multi-billion-dollar deal, I'll get up at 2:00 in the morning. But I can't believe they put all this shit in fucking writing. And secondly, we were talking about it at the time that Vince and Triple H had been, NXT was his thing. And like it or not, when Vince went in there and fucking disrupted that whole thing, and he and Bruce made it look like somebody had chewed up the entire primetime lineup of Nickelodeon and thrown it up. And then Triple H has the heart deal and he's sidelined and blah, blah, blah. Now Vince has come back and done all this shit and still wants to be involved in his maneuver. I don't put it past Triple H and Stephanie to have been the ones to go, hey, Dad's gone out of his mind and he's got this girl and we need to fucking bring this up. I think they stooged on him originally. But so the point being, Vince wouldn't leave anything alone. And Triple H is trying to text our Nick Khan and say, geez, is he going to be there? I guess he's coming. It just, you could tell Triple H was uncomfortable, and Nick Khan at the time, I think, thought they might still need Vince, but it's been proven they didn't. But that might have been the point in time where he was starting to get a little fed up with it too.
Well, a few things. One, I wonder if Nick Khan can get in trouble, because what would be the justification for needing to use a messaging service where the messages disappear? Right? What would be Nick Khan's reasoning for that? You could argue it's only to hide information from investors. You could make that argument.
Well, why did he specifically delete the text that he'd sent to Triple H in response to Triple H's that Triple H didn't delete?
And how deleted are they? Is it something where you could subpoena the phone company and get those messages? I guess that's another question.
How deleted are they? God damn it. Nothing goes away anymore, does it? I wish some shit would go away.
I think the problem is, maybe to someone who only looks at it from a top level down, like an Ari Emanuel, maybe a Mark Shapiro, you do have to wonder if they think Vince McMahon was the magic, the Willy Wonka. He was the magic. And again, knowing that Vince McMahon was still reaching out and still trying to be involved in the process after we thought he was out of the process, he still wanted to be involved in the creative. Makes you wonder what, if any, influence he has today. And again, at the same time where allegedly TKO is stepping in on creative above Triple H's head, that this is a worrying thing. I'm not saying it's WCW, where people who don't know about wrestling all of a sudden are booking the show. But you have to be worried about what it appears, the dysfunction that appears to be in place. And the idea I just read before, the whole thing, they're going to lower ticket prices on some select shows in the summer. So they're not lowering any fucking ticket prices.
Oh, but hold on, you got two things there, and I think they're being tied together, but they're not necessarily related, in that I think that early on, the Emanuels and Khans and these people, they did think Vince was Willy Wonka. Later on, they found out it was a different kind of chocolate. But I think they, because of necessity, having to be gone with him, I think they've started to realize now, or maybe already have realized, that it wasn't just Vince, and that maybe things were better in a lot of ways with Vince not being there. And with the headlines that still keep coming out, I don't think they're really in any rush to have him as a public face of the company or anything. But I think that they've interfered for the reason I said earlier in the show, and another topic we were talking about, but also because they want this cross promotion with Pat McAfee and ESPN and WWE and TKO and fucking all these other goddamn conglomerates. They think that will be a big deal. They didn't, I don't think, really understand how fully the wrestling fans would be insulted by it, but they don't give a shit, I don't think, because they represent all these people and all these companies, and they're taking money out of their left pocket and putting it in their right pocket, and they just want publicity. I don't think Vince would have. I can almost bet you that Vince would have, no pun intended, shit on the idea of sticking Pat McAfee in this Orton and Cody deal.
Why?
Because it didn't need it. And it came out of nowhere and it hadn't been built to. And I don't think from what I remember of Vince, at least, maybe before his brain melted, that he would want to swerve and fuck up and gimmick up the actual WWE World Title match at WrestleMania. I mean, they had a celebrity, Mike Tyson, as referee. That's different than Pat McAfee inserting himself as the guy who's been telling Randy Orton what to do and coming in out of nowhere just to goddamn get ESPN to cover it. I don't think Vince would have made that move. I don't think Triple H would have made that move. I think they're telling the truth. Even if it's not The Rock this year, somebody higher up in TKO sticks their fucking nose in WrestleMania every goddamn year. And sooner or later, they're going to not just stumble over their own dick, but they're going to fall flat on their face, knock their front teeth out.
Well, again, a clunky build to WrestleMania, coming off last year's clunky build after The Rock showed up and disappeared, the Travis Scott thing. The year before was the year it kind of all worked, which coincidentally was right after Vince McMahon was... Here's another message from Triple H to Nick Khan, December 9th, 2023. Was just told by security that VKM is coming to Cleveland TV Monday. What's that about? And 5 question marks.
What you talking about, Willis?
What's up with that?
Yeah, well, and did you see there was another one where one of them wrote to the other one and said, oh, shit, I've just realized that Vince is going to be on the same plane as Punk tomorrow. Do you think there'll be a problem?
Yeah. Boy, there's the next question I would ask CM Punk if I was the person interviewing CM Punk. What was that plane ride with Vince like? But here's another one. Sunday, December 10th, 2023. Paul Levesque to Nick Khan. The more I think about it, the more I'm kind of disappointed in that Ari convo. Seems like we're in the same place. Quote, I'm going to tell him to stay out of it or else. That's way different than, quote, I'm telling him he's done, it's over. Kicking the can down the road. And that tells you that Triple H knew right there and then they were not going to cut bait with Vince McMahon willingly, and it was always going to be hanging over his head that he could be replaced as the head of creative.
Yeah.
And it could be Vince behind the whole thing. They're not giving him the confidence. So this is pretty enlightening, actually.
But everything that Nick Khan said back has been deleted, so we don't know whether he was agreeing with Triple H, placating Triple H. Well, between you and I, here's from Triple H. Between you and I, it feels like they're both backtracking on the he's out narrative. It's back to the, well, if he wants to go to the show now and then. And listen to this. And if he gives notes and wants to have a 30-minute meeting now and then, okay.
Yeah.
And then Triple H follows that up with, he just sent an email re-script for Ari.
Oh.
And Nick didn't delete that. Seems off. Let me call him. But yeah, he wasn't going to stay away. And Triple H is like, what the fuck? It sounds like that they had assured Triple H, well, we're going to tell him that he's done. But he didn't get told.
See, Nick Khan is the person that would be dealing with Ari and Mark Shapiro the most, not Triple H.
Yeah.
Vince is going right to Ari Emanuel. If Vince is emailing Ari December 2023 about the script, The fuck's he bothering Ari Emanuel about the script? That's the last thing we need, is him getting involved in anything about the writing of the show. December 2023. Is that when The Rock came back and cut that promo on Cody? Was it around that time? I don't know. I shouldn't guess.
Right before, I believe.
Well, again, we don't know how this affects what's going on now. A lot more will come out in this lawsuit, and give Brandon Thurston a lot of credit. He's done the research and he's putting all the information out there, and it's all public record now. But we'll see what happens and where TKO goes from here. They may have a big decision to make pretty soon about next year's WrestleMania. I don't know who for what reason, fans, let alone wrestlers, wants to fly to the Middle East right now for a major high-profile event with spotlights and all sorts of shit.
And major American celebrities.
Oh, bad idea, but...
Candid photography.
That is the TKO WWE Creative Update, and with that, Jim, let me get this. The drive-thru is closed. Wow.
Hello.
Oh, this is still on the other sound. Oh, come on. Come on, one more time. Happy organ before we go. Happy organ.
Yeah, your organ gets happy.
Nope. There we go. All right, we'll be back with more fun on the Jim Cornette Experience later this week. And, of course, next week back here on the drive-thru. Go through the archive, patreon.com/Cornette. $5 a month gets you access to the archive going back to 2013. Patreon.com/Cornette. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Go there, subscribe today. Full episodes, clips of the episodes, omnibus collections, that great George Livinitis artwork that everyone loves. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. What's going on? What is going on, Jim?
Well, things are going on. All of the ring-worn stuff. Well, there's a few things left. I think there's a couple of pairs of pants and maybe a shirt. But it's going to be, if you've already purchased it, it'll be headed its way to you in the mail shortly. And there's still all the fine products available that normally are at JimCornette.com. And T-shirts.
At JimCornette.com. Of course, the drive-thru is brought to you by the law office of Stephen P. New, 877-50-STEVE. Get even with Stephen at newlawoffice.com. And listen to the wrestling news each and every day wherever you find your favorite podcasts. No clickbait, no opinion, no paywall, just the wrestling news. Until the experience in a few days and next week back here on the drive-thru for Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. That was almost a chord. Tally-ho!
Thank God.